What's up and welcome back to Kinda Funny's Pixar in Review, an annual tradition now here at Kinda Funny. It was wild because like back in 2020 when we were doing 2 a week, that's when we first started Pixar, and it was just back to back to back to back to back. But then it kind of cooled off, and we were just been watching them just as they release, which is like a much better cadence, I would say.
Fair.
But of course, this is Kinda Funny's in Review. I'm Tim Geddes. I'm joined by the Nitro Rifle himself, Andy Cortez.
It was Pixar. It was Ghibli. It was Transformers. The pandemic was wild.
It was
Best of
all the
times
exact
and the
same
worst of
quality right
times.
there, right?
Ooh, what's that smell?
Yeah, there's a smell going on, Kev Dog. If you want to come over here real quick to make sure. Yeah? Okay, cool. Definitively different smell
Definitively
than
stronger
normal.
smell.
Does it smell like a salad?
It smells like danger, but I don't know. We are also joined by It's Christmas in June, Joey Noel.
Hello.
How disturbing is it that I have to look at the calendar and know what month it is?
I know. I have no idea.
Ugh, it's a whole thing. And
That was
rounding
my
up
half
Tuesday.
birthday.
Honestly, can we just be honest right here?
You can.
Right.
Aaron.
Circle of
everybody.
trust.
Anytime that anybody does the it's Christmas and whatever thing for Joe, I'm always impressed that you don't have to look at the calendar.
Mm.
I'm always so impressed whenever Greg is like, it's Christmas in March. Joe, I'm like, oh, wow, Greg, you're on it, bro.
You're
You
on
knew-
it for knowing the month.
You knew
We're
what month
such
it was.
sad people
Yeah,
here.
you
at
knew
Kinda
what month it
Funny.
was. That's crazy.
Fair enough.
And perhaps the
Impressive.
saddest of us all.
Wow.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I had to come. He's
got a broken iPhone.
producer, Nick Scarpino. Yeah, just so everybody knows, Nick's going through hell and a half
so
right now.
tragic.
It's fine. I just got an email that it's ready. But yeah,
Okay.
I took my phone in to get a screen replacement on my old ass 10-year-old iPhone or whatever, which the guy's like, don't do this. And I'm like, I'm doing it. The guy even was like this. You should just take it to one of those third-party places. And I was like, yeah, but then what if they mess it up? He goes, you just throw it out, dude. Like, he's like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? And let me tell you, I spent like
Sir,
a
quit
solid...
wasting my time, sir.
I spent a solid hour in the at the. So here's the thing: when you walk around without an iPhone for an hour, what do you do with your life? I sat, I watched people as I ate Rooster and Rice. It was so lovely. After an hour, I'm like, I'm bored shitless. Where do I go that I could possibly look on a phone somewhere? Back to the iPhone store. I'm there for another hour.
Yeah.
Searching through on an iPhone Pro 14 Max. And I'm like, real nice phone. Real nice phone. Real nice refresh rate on this phone.
God.
120 hertz.
Oh, it's great,
Oh,
man.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyways, enough about Nick's iPhone woes for now. I'm sure we'll hear more about this epic saga as it progresses. But this is Kinda Funny's Pixar in Review. Each and every week on In Review, we rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. And we're going to continue to do that as the new releases continue on. We got some bangers coming up soon. We got Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Hell yeah.
We have Oppenheimer coming up. Joey, just for you, I think we're going to do something real special. I think that Barbie deserves a one-off in review.
Hell
Get the
yeah.
whole plot treatment and the whole, the whole thing.
Andy,
so I think
start learning the song.
There's a Barbie song?
I'm
Barbie
a
girl?
Barbie girl.
Oh, gotcha,
in a
gotcha,
Barbie
gotcha.
world.
I don't know why I'm just thinking like there was a theme song back from the 60s.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, some of the like movies definitely have a song. Could not tell you a single one of them.
kind of like the Kinda Funny intro.
Oh, it sure is. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
That's where we stole it from.
100%.
Shout out
But
to that.
anyway, it's about to be a great time for everybody involved. If you are a fan of Kinda Funny and us talking about movies, both good and bad. You can get it on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want to get it as a podcast, search your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny in Review, and we will be right there for you. If you wanted to get the show ad-free and watch it live as we record it, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producer, Nathan Lamoth, has done. Thank you so much. Today we're brought to you by BetterHelp, but I'll tell you about that later.
Thank you, Nathan.
Today we're talking about Elemental. With a runtime of 1 hour and 49 minutes. It was released on June 16th, 2023. We're coming to a little late on this one. Normally we are dropping our own reviews the week things come out, but because there's been so many movies, I think this came out the same day as The Flash, so we had to prioritize that one over on the DCEU. So if you want to check that out, you can. But this was directed by Peter Sohn, who's known for his work at Pixar Animation Studios as the director of 2009's Partly Cloudy little short film that played.
that's cute.
2015's The Good Dinosaur. He directed that. And now Elemental here. He also co-directed the English language version of Ponyo in 2009 over on the Miyazaki side of things, along with John Lasseter and Brad Lewis. He's also been the voice of Emil in Rat-Tat-Tooie.
I was gonna
We've
say,
talked
he's an
about,
actor, right?
yeah, we've talked about him before.
Oh, right.
In reference to a couple things, but I'm going to repeat some of this to refresh us. And also,
love
there's
that.
just some cool things here.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
that was 3 years ago.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for the refresh.
But he's also the voice of Emil in Ratatouille, Squishy in Monsters University, and Socks in Lightyear, the cat. And he was the inspiration for Russell's appearance in Up.
Oh,
That's right.
he's
Russell
got a
Brand.
lot of stuff.
And he had a little quote here that I want to read. He is he's Korean, and a lot of the story and inspiration of Elemental is from his him growing up and his family and everything. A quote he has here is, growing up, I always saw my parents a certain way, but then when I hit my 20s and got a real job versus working at my family shop, I saw them as people. That shift from parents to people affected me a great deal. All the stories they told me of their journey here I took for granted until I was like, oh my God, they did this without speaking the language. They did this with no money. My dad was a hot dog cart guy and he made all of this. I could never do that. My empathy grew for them. And that was kind of like the initial kind of source of the story for this one. The music was done by Thomas Newman. And I had a bunch of things here. I couldn't cut anything because I was like, I want to read all
great.
of this
Okay.
because there's some fun here.
Oh, now I smell the weird smell.
It's an intense smell. Born in Los Angeles, California, Newman is the youngest son of composer Alfred Newman, who won the Academy Award for Best Original Score 9 times, and Martha Louise Montgomery. He's a member of a film scoring dynasty in Hollywood, which again, I feel like I've read before and it's got me excited before, but he's a member of a film scoring dynasty
I
with the
love it.
Newmans, Andy.
So cool.
I mean, we're talking like that power is passed down. It's a lineage. Oh, the smell is even stronger now.
Yeah, yeah. So what I love here is like the film scoring dynasty in Hollywood that includes his father Alfred, his older brother David Newman, his younger sister Maria Newman, his uncles Lionel and Emil Newman, and his cousin Randy Newman.
You think they all hate Randy?
Hold on, Nick, we're not done yet.
Okay.
Oh.
His first cousin once removed, Joey Newman.
Joey
Oh.
Newman,
Yeah.
most famous of all the Newmans.
All
course.
composers.
Joey.
That's incredible.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just thinking, you think they all secretly resent Randy? Because like, damn,
Joey
Randy
was
got,
a new
Randy
kid
got
on the
that
block.
Pixar deal, and it's just been killing for him.
But
I
do you
mean-
think like Randy's just being like, I got a guy, I got a girl for you, and just pulling in all his family members?
Yeah,
to
but
the other
Randy's
movies?
still like the kind of guy that's just like, I want to be still on top.
The ultimate
Right? Like you can
nepotism.
work, but like
You have
when
to
it comes to
report to
Toy
me.
Story 5, Randy's getting the call for that.
Yeah.
Paul's
Well,
not
Randy,
getting the call.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, lest you forget, Nick. Randy's the Toy Story guy. This isn't Thomas's first Pixar rodeo. He's done Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, Wall-E, and jumping over to something near and dear to your heart, Skyfall Inspector.
A little hometown discount right there.
Yeah, exactly. So
Do you think
yeah.
they just keep the Newmans on like retainer
I
at
mean,
this point? And like we'll take one of them.
I love the
I think
idea
you
that
just
like
get-
Newmans eat for free here at our cafeteria. You know?
Well, I think it's definitely like they're in the family. They help make the movies distinctively like Pixar, because these movies, like even this movie that had a good soundtrack, it still sounds and feels like a Pixar movie, similar to how you would have a Marvel movie that you watch and you're like, okay, we're in the same world and the environment of Marvel, and that's very much told through that. I guess you would call it audio storytelling.
yeah,
Yeah, auditory storytelling. So pretty cool.
I prefer oral.
Oral, thank you.
A-U-R-A-L.
That's a better way to do it.
It's like rural.
Fewer syllables, harder to say. It makes you sound
It's more
smarter.
fun though.
Yeah.
It makes you sound smarter, which I'm not. This one had a budget of $200 million and a box office currently of $59.3 million.
One thing,
Kevin?
did you ever have to take oral theory with your music stuff?
No,
It was the thing that like
That's like a
made me
college
not
course.
be a music minor.
Really?
Because I was like, I don't got the ears for it. I can't
no,
do it.
yeah, no, I didn't go past high school with it, so I didn't do any like of that stuff. It was mostly just
And he's a great author, R.L. Stein.
yeah.
A joke
That
almost
joke
as
gave me
good
goosebumps.
as the one that I had earlier.
Yeah.
Almost.
That was good.
Thank you.
I missed it.
No, I said that
I'll have-
that joke gave me goosebumps.
Okay. Yeah.
That is good.
We're on a roll, everybody. But, we're not the only ones that have been talking shit for a long time. Kevin Coelho out there, all right, has been saying something very specific. What has it been, Kevin?
Disney's trying to kill Pixar. We all know it's true.
Disney is fucking Pixar. In the United States and Canada, Elemental was released alongside The Flash and The Blackening and was originally projected to gross 35 to 40 million from 4,000 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made 11.8 million on its first day, including 2.4 from Thursday night previews, lowering estimates to 30 million. The film went on to debut to not even that at 29 million, finishing in second and marking the second worst 3-day opening weekend ever for a Pixar film, behind only the 29.1 million $56 million with inflation opening of Toy Story 1 in 1995.
Oh, that is tough.
Which sold significantly more tickets. Deadline Hollywood and The Wrap cited the reasons being the film's marketing, audiences getting used to waiting for Pixar films to be released on Disney Plus instead of theaters as a result
It worked.
of
God damn it.
the COVID-19 pandemic and competition from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for similar audiences. So yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot there, and yeah, Kevin's been talking about it, and we're seeing it all happen, folks.
I mean, is it that, or is it that this movie is just like a little higher concept than a lot of the Pixar movies that came before, and it's a little bit harder to market?
What are you gonna sell toys for here, bro?
Well, that's the thing. Is like I look at this movie, and it's a very interesting. There's a lot of interesting choices made in the film. I enjoyed it overall, but it took me a while to get into, and it's weird because other movies like Inside Out that have high concept like this kind of ingratiated me a little bit more into the world, and this one was just very like. I was like, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this up until about the second act, and then I was like, okay, I'm in for this.
Yeah, a lot
I
of things
feel
at play when it comes to marketing and
Yeah.
stuff. But I do think the fact that we've had now with Luca, with Soul, and Onward being kind of like the first movie of all movies to kind of have the shortened theater run because of the pandemic. I do
Turning
think
Red.
all that. Oh, and then Turning Red. Yeah, all of those I think have kind of created this narrative for families of like, we could just wait.
Yeah.
We could just watch this at home. Pixar movies are streaming movies to us, and we're seeing the effects of that. And then Lightyear last year, not really setting the world on fire and kind of doing what it needed to do.
What were the box office? Do you have that for Lightyear, just in comparison?
I don't have it.
I
Hold on.
that one's like a little bit unfair because it's established IP
But I mean,
adjacent.
I think that's
It's still
important to
pretty
bring up.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's known as a box office bomb at 226.4
That was
million.
Lightyear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
So hold on, I just
Nick,
had
you're
something.
keeping going with your point. Keep on rocking.
Oh no, I mean,
It seemed like Nick was kind of going into what he thought about it.
I mean that's up to Tim. Tim's
Well,
the
I mean,
trivia
we're just not
master.
quite there.
Oh, we got more.
Tim's got more trivia.
Tim, keep reading, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. No, sorry. Just
Tell me about Paul Newman.
100%. No, I want to get to some of the stats because Andy, I like giving you the fun numbers of this stuff. Over 151,000 cores, like CPU cores.
151,000.
Yeah, were used for Elemental in 3 large
A lot of
rooms
cores.
on the Pixar campus, making it a massive amount of computing power compared to previous Pixar feature films, due to Pixar having to upgrade and buy more computers for this film than ever. For example, Toy Story had 295 cores. Monsters, Inc. had 672. Finding Nemo had 923. This one has 151,000.
That's unbelievable. And like, I wonder if they're like me, where they maybe bought like a little AC window unit just to kind of cool that room down. Just have like one little tiny AC unit. I cannot imagine the power required to not only run that, but to require the cooling for that room. That must
Yeah.
be insane. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
are, like I would love to see a heat map of the world, like world. I would love to see Predator vision in that moment. Yeah, that must.
It's
be
just
super
Emeryville
interesting.
is just on fire.
Yeah.
exactly.
Like,
God,
what is
that's
going
so
on?
funny. So I do want to get into our thoughts now. Remember, this is completely spoiler filled. So if you do not want to be spoiled about Elemental, come back later. But before I get to any of our thoughts, I do really want to specifically call out Cool Greg's thoughts.
I
Oh,
love
okay,
it.
great.
Because Cool Greg tweeted his thoughts on this movie. He watched it with me last night. The movie Elemental was cool. Imagine if Lara Croft from Tomb Raider was on fire and fell in love with Ron Stoppable from Kim Possible after he fell into like a lake or pool or something. That's
I
what
like
it's
that.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
thought he kind of looked like you, Tim.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It was
we
the
thought-
hair.
we
I
thought it
look like Ron Stoppable.
Didn't I?
I'm
But-
okay with that.
No.
But then also we decided it was kind of Eric Voss because he kind of spoke like Eric Voss as well.
He does have an Eric Voss vibe to him. He's
Yeah.
very, very nice.
But I
had
feel
that
like the
delivery.
wavy hair thing was the Tim.
Yeah, I
thing.
can see
For
that.
sure.
I can
For
see
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know how I feel about this, but you know what? I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
I'll
Well, I
only
haven't
take
seen
it
you
as-
cry outwardly at the.
I do cry a lot.
but you
yeah.
do cry sometimes.
I do. It's true. But
But
anyway,
you do love water.
I love blue. A lot of you guys are selling me on this point.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick, please continue. What did you think about Elemental? You can spoil anything you want now.
Sure. Okay. Overall, I like the movie a lot. I did find it a little harder to get into as the concept is a little on the nose, but also I just felt like the characters themselves, because of the design, because of sort of this world they were trying to get us into, took me a little bit longer than most Pixar movies to get into. I remember turning to Andy because they had the Doug short at the beginning of it,
Ugh.
which immediately, I mean, obviously we've got a whole movie that I have a touchstone for with Up. That movie is very, very close and near and dear to my heart. I love it. I cry every single time at that opening because it makes me I love my wife. I call her. I text her. I got to hear her voice every time I watch that movie.
Our number 2 movie on the overall Pixar list.
Up.
Yep.
And you hear the music,
Watch
and
it.
I look at Joe crying, and I'm
Yep.
like, that's what the music
Instantly.
does to you.
Yeah, it's great.
I think it's like maybe the best theme of all time.
So we start Elemental, and it's such an education on what this world is, and you're like, what's going on here? It kind of it takes a little while to get into. I found myself in the first 15, 20 minutes being like, how'd that date go? How'd the old man's date go? I'd rather be watching that story right now. You know, because I'm like, because for obvious reasons, we have a little bit more emotional connection with them. Over the next 20, 30 minutes, I found myself getting into it a little bit more. Of course, the animation is stunning. And by the end of it, I found myself pretty wrapped up and pretty invested in the characters. I think it's an interesting concept thematically, obviously following the immigrant story and showcasing that with literal fire and water mixing was an interesting choice. I think that some of the actual plot points are weird in the movie, namely, I was like, was there a moment where they had planned for this dam to be broken by some nefarious source? No, it's just a city that's poorly run.
It's a
And living in San Francisco, I was like, I get it. I'm sure there's multiple dams in San Francisco that are about to break at any given point, and the bay is going to flood the entire city. I could totally understand that. But overall, performances were good. Shout out to the 2 leads. I know one of them is from Jurassic World, right?
Oh yeah, who are
The
they?
guy that
I'm
played Wade.
unfamiliar.
Yeah, I don't recognize Ember, the voice, but the guy that played Wade, I think, was the sort of like assistant in Jurassic World. That's like, hey, like lets him out. He's the one that spoilers for Jurassic World.
Oh,
Is the
yeah.
one that's like
He's
Oh.
like the
he's like the second in
right-hand
command.
man.
That's like I'm the one that called you guys in. You got to stop this park.
Yeah, when he pulls in Sattler and
Yeah,
Alan.
you'll know him when you see him.
Alan.
He was also in Pat.
Remember when the Raptors said, Alan?
But overall, enjoyed it. I do think this is one of those movies that, looking at it, if I had kids, I'd be like, let's for sure wait for this to come on Disney Plus. It just doesn't seem like, to me, it doesn't have a lot of hooks that I would initially, expect from a Pixar film. It doesn't have the sort of like got to get out there and watchability of it all. And I don't, having watched the movie now, having seen the whole thing through, for sure, I would probably wait to watch this one on my couch. But overall, enjoyed it.
Joy.
I liked this one. I think I liked it more than some of the recent ones. I didn't really like Luca. I think that's the one. And Soul I thought was fine. So I think I like this one more than those, but like I don't know that it's gonna rank super high on my overall list. But I liked the story of like obviously the immigrant story. I feel like at being an only female child also like tied me into the story of this one a little bit more. It's like, oh, familial expectations. This is all the stuff that I think about all the time. So I liked that. I will say that the male lead I thought was like pretty thin in terms of like what we kind of get from him story-wise. It's not his story.
He wasn't
so,
very complex. We'll just put it that way. He wasn't conflicted at all. He's sort of the true north of the story the entire time, which is odd when
And a
you're dealing
little-
with those opposites attract. Sort of the West Side Story kind of that. I guess that's
Usually
fine,
it's
of
like
course.
there's a lot more friction
Yeah.
and that kind of like tension.
Right, and we get one tension point at the family
Yeah.
dinner where someone has the faux pas over I guess it was the grandpa. Hard to tell when everyone's water. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the husband, right? She's like, my husband's dead. I'm like, I guess that's the grandpa.
Yeah.
I can't really tell how old this character is, but yeah.
So yeah, it's beautiful though, like all of the glass and stuff like that specifically, I think is really fun. It is weird to have like a romance like building element in a Pixar movie because I guess
This is a rom-com.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is just kind of like a difference that I feel like we don't see often. At least with Up, it's like it's such a quick thing. It's not like the duration of the movie, even though obviously their relationship like is a
Yeah, there was no will they,
feature.
won't they in
Yeah,
Up. You were like,
exactly.
they did. And then
God
it
damn.
ended.
Oh, that's the most brutal way
Yeah.
to put it.
Yeah.
And now they will not.
And now they'll never do it again.
Yeah. It's funny too because when I think of movies like Inside Out and stuff like that have like some deeper themes and meanings that they're like trying to make more palatable for children, those feel more gimmicky, even though like Fire and Water as a dynamic seems like the most gimmicky out of all of them, but I don't know that it like translates as well as like the emotions and the core memories and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So I had a good time with it. I agree. I don't know that this is one that I would like run to go see in theaters. But I had a good time. Like I was tearing up at parts of it for sure and stuff like that. Like I think it has a definite lighter pull on the heartstrings than some recent ones. I probably, yeah, I think like I cried more in like Turning Red and stuff like that in terms of the recent stuff. But I had fun.
Andy.
I didn't like this at all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was pretty bored by most of it. There were some cute moments overall, but I feel like all of the heavy-handedness was just really like surprising to see, and also it kind of just felt like I was watching a parody of what a Pixar movie would be. And all of the heavy-handedness I'm talking about, if you do end up watching it, audience, is the stuff like regarding race and interracial couples and stuff. And I totally I love the concept of it all. It's just like when somebody says a joke like, no, they're called fire, not just fire people. I was like, oh man, we're doing this. Like, it's just like that stuff was so corny and not done too great for me. It was like it needs like a defter hand, and it was just very, very, very heavy-handed. But aside from that, you know, maybe the story isn't so great, but it's a Pixar movie, so surely it'll bring a lot of laughs and stuff. And I just was not really entertained by much of this, unfortunately. And I think a lot of it was the main character, the water dude, who's just Wade Ripple.
Wade. I got that an hour and a half, and I was like, Wade.
Near the end of the movie, by the way.
God bless you.
Nick just taps me on the shoulder. He's like, Wade, water. Yeah. And then they said Wade Ripple, and he went, Wade Ripple.
Badass name.
And by the
Badass
way, let me
name.
just say real
Ricky
quick.
Bobby.
Cinemark, AMC.
Oof, don't say it because Tim's gonna have.
Watch your shit. Watch out.
He likes the Regal Cinemas.
The Regal
I do too.
the Regal popcorn. Phenomenal.
I sit down,
Way better than any other popcorn I've had at any other theaters.
I'm 10 minutes early.
I
I sit down and I look over. Andy's got the world's smallest bag of popcorn, and I was like, "What's up? What's up with that big small bag of popcorn?" And he's like, "I wasn't sure it was going to be good." And he goes, "Nick, you're going to want to get up right now and go get a bag of popcorn."
I was like, I know you're going to want to take some from me,
He's like,
but I want
Not
to add to
today.
this. So I think you need to go get your own so that we can have more together.
And I did, and then I brought back the world's smallest Diet Pepsi.
also
This Diet Pepsi was 4 feet tall.
It was this big.
I like
It
that
looked
you
like that thing. It was like it was huge, huge.
you've positioned it as you were 10 minutes early, because I'm pretty sure Andy and I were sitting there like, Nick left the office before us. Where is he?
Oh man, I was like halfway through the previews. Is when it came. I timed it perfectly. I got a little Korean barbecue in the mall. Then came and then I was like, this is perfect. And he's like, you need popcorn. I was like, now I'm 10 minutes late.
Even more importantly, Tim, there was a lady with there was a lot of kids in the theater. Not too bad.
Filled with children.
Not too bad, actually. Like, I thought it was going to be a way worse experience.
It was all kids.
Yeah. But the Nick missed it. Nick like got there a little bit late. Me and Joey were sitting there, and the lady's just like to our right. I don't even feel like it was their mom. I feel like it was their babysitter.
Yeah, she was
having
She
a
had,
hell.
like 3 kids.
Having
with
a
her.
hell of a time
God
with
bless her.
these kids. At one point, is walking up to give snacks to them, and I just hear like, and I look and I just see popcorn falling over the place, and the lady's like, "Shit, grab it!" Like she's like pissed off at these
She was-
because they didn't grab the popcorn right, and it was.
She went to hand it to him, immediately spilled.
It was
Yeah.
just a disaster.
But of course, they're in the wrong seats. Because they just sat. She was like, "Let's just sit wherever." Because who the heck would go see this movie at 3:30 in the afternoon?
And it was
of course,
Nick's
we
seat.
did. I had to unfortunately ask her to move over. Actually, I didn't even ask her. She was like, "Am I in your
because
seat?"
the people on the other side of us
They
came
sat
and
wrong,
they
but-
were like, "You're in our seats." We're like, "Oh."
So not only that, but I'm rolling around in popcorn the entire time.
Nick
and then
is like having to brush off a bunch of popcorn. from
I was-
his
Nick
seat.
I was
just
like, whatever.
full arming popcorn off.
I'm
the
just
seat.
taking pounds of popcorn off this seat. And then midway through the movie, I felt so bad because the mom, one of the kids goes, "I have to go to the bathroom." I was like, "Ugh, fine." Takes her to the bathroom. Comes back. 5 minutes later, kid goes, "I got a shit." And the mom's like, "We just went to the bathroom." She's like, "I didn't have to shit then. I had to shit now." So I was like, I wanted to high five this guy. I was like, "I've been there." Sometimes you go, you pee, and you're like, as you're peeing, you're like, "I got to shit.
Yeah, I get it.
I got to
totally
do something
get it.
about this."
Yeah, they'll learn even
Man,
more.
it's tough. You don't know.
Anyway, yeah, didn't really enjoy the movie a whole lot, Tim, unfortunately. And again, a lot of it was like, look, if you're not going to really blow my mind with story, I'm still expecting to enjoy the whimsy and fun of the world. And I just always go back to one of the Family Guy parodies where it's like, Pixar movie, The Secret World of Pants, and it's like the pants are alive, and they talk to like, and it's just like I'm so kind of like tired of seeing whatever can be personified and how they interact with the world. And like sometimes it's still cute, but you can only see the fire girl blow the leaves off of something so many times in the movie before I'm like, man, this is just like kind of tired and not working for me. And yeah, I legitimately, a lot of the movies that I haven't enjoyed, I still find a lot of like positive points. And for this, like, for the big focal point of the story, or one of the big focal points and big turning points being this dam that they were trying to, block up, that the glass wasn't strong enough. I was hoping, there was part of me that was like, did something like, is there an outside force or
what's
somebody,
going on here?
or is somebody like trying to break this glass in order to get this dam to keep breaking? I wonder if it's something that's like, no, it just
Insurance
happened
fraud.
to break. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like not super happy with what a lot of the plot was doing, with what a lot of the dialogue was saying. And I enjoyed the attempt. Like, trust me, I think it's like a cool thing. And when I read tweets saying, oh man, it's getting a bad rap, marketing didn't know help, but like this is a story about immigrants and coming to a new country and not, do I want to continue the lineage of my family, and do I want to do what kind of made us feel comfortable here, or do I want to pursue my own things? Like, wow, that is cool. I'm looking forward to this. And I was just not very, very happy with this. Tim, what did you feel?
I was gonna say, I think to Andy's point, like that was kind of a lot of that is what I felt, and I think a lot of it was like I found myself engaged in the story, but wondering if they could have just told that story without the actual elements themselves. Because I think that like for Inside Out, it worked because it's very difficult to personify feelings, and they did a good job at doing that. And I think in doing that, as a child watching that, it really could kind of help you develop and understand what you're feeling and what you're going through, because you're actually watching characters go through that and you're feeling that as they're going through that, and that makes a lot of sense. And this one, I was like, I kind of wish this was just, they were just humans. I kind of wish I was just watching the story, because I mean, obviously you'd have to figure out other mechanisms for it, but I just felt like a lot.
Just like West Side Story.
Well, yeah, but a lot of but it's such a thin line with what they're doing with like thematically with all this stuff, right? Like all this stuff's metaphorical for that, but the closer you get from the metaphor being on the nose to the actual reality, the more the magic is lost in it.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of what happened here. Again, by the third act, I was like, oh, this is a Americanized, potentially white family that she's coming into, and there's weirdness. This is interesting to me, right? Like, this is the story that I want to watch. But the train going overhead with the water that kept splashing down, I was like, that just seems really dangerous to this character. Like, that doesn't seem like they should have that happening here at all. And that kind of those story elements, those things kind of took me out of it.
And before we get to Tim's thoughts, just one quick line that another one of those like, come on. And I get that when you're writing this, you're speaking from your own experiences and you want to include these moments, right? But a fire girl is over at the Water family's dinner, and one of the Water family people is like, "Oh wow, you're so well spoken," or you speak
so well.
You speak so well. You speak better than I thought you would. And I was like, "Oh man, why are we like?" I don't know. It just
Andy, has that never happened to you?
no. But I've never like dated a white girl back home.
Okay.
So like I understand doing it from experience.
Yeah.
But it's just like the way that it's done here is just it's
Very heavy-handed.
it's just not
Yeah.
subtle at all, you know.
But I mean, here's the thing. Like, Tim, if I may, just
Go
my
for it.
thoughts on
Absolutely.
this movie. I love this movie, and so many of the things hit real close to home. Like the family dynamics on both sides of the family, the meeting the more affluent, like,
Water.
water people, and how the conversations, like you're so well spoken. And also there was another talk where they were like, oh, you're so fiery, and it's like, man, like it hasn't been Paula's family that said it, but like friends of the family, of being like walking into a house that like they're playing salsa music, and they're like, oh, you must like salsa music, and oh, we have mangoes, you guys like mangoes, right? And it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, wouldn't caught me off guard. And like so many of those conversations like were so reflective of conversations I've had with random people. I was just really like one of these movies where like this is the second time Pixar has done it for me, where it's like, oh my God, they're really nailing the message they're trying to get with like actual experiences that I like have experienced.
And I would have enjoyed that a lot more had a lot more of the movie been more enjoyable, with funnier writing and having these characters have nice little lines of dialogue every once in a while. I just wasn't really entertained, even aside from the stuff that I've been talking about. All right, Tim. After
Yeah.
90 minutes, how did you?
No, it's all good, and I'm gonna go on another tangent because you brought up the Regal Theater. I just need to put out there.
Oh.
You know, we go to a lot of different theaters. We see a lot of different there's the trailers, and then there's like the commercials for the theater or whatever. Regal by far has the worst one. You give me Nicole Kidman at AMC, and like that's a meme, it's a joke, but it's hilarious,
We love
right?
it.
The Dolby thing's so unnecessarily epic. Like there's just all that shit. The freaking Regal one where they come in and do all the movie quotes, and it starts off kind of making sense at about 15 seconds in. It's like the way y'all are talking doesn't even make sense. It
They need to hire
infuriates
you,
me.
bro.
It infuriates me so much that by the time the movie starts, no matter what it is, I'm in a bad
I'm
place.
pissed off.
I'm pissed the fuck off, man. I hate this
This
shit.
movie's got
Figure it
a
out,
uphill
people.
climb right now.
Where is Maria
God damn.
Menounos? Which theaters are she at? Because I feel like we never.
Cinemark, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess
she's
we
the
never
one.
go to that
She
one.
deserves to be everywhere,
goat.
man.
I
Dude,
know.
Jesus. Anyway, Regal, figure it the fuck out. Yeah, this movie is, I think it's good. I think that it is on the lower end of my Pixar rankings, but it's not bottom tier. I think that it has a lot going for it that we love from Pixar. The animation's incredible. Like, I can't believe from Toy Story 4 on, I think, and the Pixar's always been beautiful, but Toy Story 4, I remember us leaving the theater being like, that looked real in some points in a way that even though it's so cartoony and stylized, it feels real. And I felt that in this movie where it's like we're dealing with elements and all this fantastical stuff going on, but there was a lot of times I had to stop and be like, whoa. Like there's the one shot where they are like touching for the first time and you kind of get the zoom out thing and you see the whole city behind them and the bridge and stuff. I'm like, I just believe in this. Like, I believe in this world that you've created because the animation and visual quality and identity of this being a Pixar developed thing is just so apparent. And so that stuff I was constantly wowed by. To Kevin's point about like him connecting it with it and all that stuff, I think that this movie did a really good job, like some Pixar movies often do, of just raising awareness of different things out there. I don't think it did a great job of doing anything with that of beyond awareness. I don't think it necessarily needs to. I think that this movie overall, we've seen the story before a dozen times, if not more. But we haven't seen it from these perspectives with the kids that are going to grow up watching this movie. I think that it's a good enough movie that I'm happy it exists. And I think that it did say something, even if that something it was saying was just, hey, these are some people's experiences. You can kind of take from that what you will. And I think they did a good job with that. We've all seen these experiences. We've had them before. We've been around them or involved in them to some extent. So I kind of feel like we look at this as like, been there, done that. And it's so on the nose. So it's hard for me to be excited and recommend this movie to anybody because I'm like, I've seen it done before. I've seen it done better. And I can say that about pretty much anything about this in terms of the creativity of the pants or cars or things like that. Like, and I know Cars.
This is how they brush their teeth. This
Like,
is how.
yeah.
This is what happens when they're taking the bus or whatever.
But I
Oh,
think
you're
there's
gonna
an
hate the
extra,
Barbie movie.
there's an extra element where elements are something we've seen so many times, and like the idea of rock and water and fire and how they can get along with each other or not get along with each other. That is not even a fresh concept. Inside Out using the feelings, Cars using cars, like, you know, A Bug's Life, Toy Story, I think is just like the ultimate example of it all. This feels on the nose before it even started, like just using the elements. And so I think with that, it's hard not to compare this to something like Zootopia, where I went into Zootopia being like, talking fucking animals, like, all right, this is not going to be anything special. And the movie was incredibly special.
Yeah.
And I think that
never watched
it had something to say, and it said it, and it there was more there. And I think that a lot of that comes down to what Andy's talking about, the Pixar magic being the writing and characters we love and care about and uniquely identifiable things about them. Whereas this movie felt a little bit more cookie cutter and on the nose in terms of its themes, its messages, and, oh, here's the side character. Oh, here's the this character. Here's the that character. And that stuff, to me, none of them are the best I've seen in a Pixar. I don't think any of them were bad, though. Like, I feel like this
Need
was,
a more Claude.
it was, but it did, but it also, Claude just feels like we've seen him before. You get what I'm saying?
I just needed more Claude because I'm saying this right now with all of the power of my voice, Tim.
Power of Andy compels you.
I don't know where I was going with that. That's when I started. I think Wade is like the worst main characters I've seen in a Pixar movie. Like the least interesting,
Forgettable.
most boring.
He's very one-dimensional.
Like I don't know. I feel like we've had one-dimensional
One-eye
characters in
reminder
the past that are entertaining, and this dude was just like
Yeah,
so
don't take it
lame.
personally,
Yeah.
Tim.
I know. I just fucking know.
And
I mean, this character fucking sucked and reminded me
You believe in the
exactly
way
of
he
Tim
looked?
getting-
This guy looks so stupid. No, but like, I mean, every time you go back to the because water's in a well, of the crying bit, dude, enough, man. It was just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that stuff I do think was kind of like, oh, man, I wish there was something more here than there is. But I do think that I was happy that there wasn't a big bad guy controlling the dam. I think that the message there was it is the city. And if they did trust the fire people more and integrate them more, the glass would have been there and that would have been not a problem. It would have been solved. I think that's the bad guy there is social injustices. So I think they did,
Bureaucracy.
yeah, I think they did a good job with that. However,
Bad infrastructure.
I
Just
think
the marginalization of different class citizens.
yeah,
Is that- is what
and
that looks
I thought they presented that well, and the idea of the water falling down that was unsafe, and I think that that's part of it is like they're in areas that are
Yeah, that makes
not
sense. I
being
guess that makes
protected
sense, yeah.
correctly, and like they are being treated like unfairly and being put in unsafe situations
Yeah.
constantly every day of their life. I get that, and like I think that it's awareness more than like providing a solution. But I do think the metaphor or the analogous nature of it kind of falls apart to me when they started talking about all of these beautiful buildings are built with glass. I'm like, what are you trying to say with that then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that kind of loses me a bit. And hey, maybe I'm just not smart enough to kind of put it all together, but that just kind of seems absolutely against what's being said, unless it's saying, look, there is so much beautiful things to offer. I just don't see the real world metaphor there.
Sure.
If you're going to continue what seemed pretty on the nose of the other thing. But anyway, hey, enough there to talk about with this movie that it's not like it's lacking depth. I think that it just kind of didn't stick the landing in terms of bringing all the elements we expect of a Pixar movie together to be something like truly, truly special.
I agree, and I think to speak on a further point. Again, I think that I like the story of this movie. I think just the fact that the concept of it sort of gets in the way of the story a little too often for me is what holds it back for me a little bit. Right? I like the story. I feel like there's a lot there, and especially talking to your point of like this is an important story to tell younger generations, and it's an important story to see. It's just it just gets in its own way a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Speaking of getting in the way, here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. I know this from experience, how often it just seems easier to care about others and to keep it moving. But when we spend all of our time giving, it can leave us feeling stretched thin and burnt out. Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. Some of my very best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny.
I think part of it for me too, as someone who consumes a rom-com content on like so many different levels between like movies,
Have you
TVs,
seen the
books.
Tall Girl and the Tall Girl
Quality,
too?
yeah.
I've seen Tall Girl. I haven't seen. You know what? Leave me and my Kindle Unlimited subscription alone. You know,
Wait, what is that? What does that mean?
it's
Let
like
me get the login for
it's
that.
like a book service essentially where you can read like it's like $10 a month and you can read like as many
Yeah,
books as you want. But you can also self-publish books, so like the quality, real all over the place.
Oh,
That's where Joy read the Pillow 2, the Pillow 3, the Pillow 4.
Yeah, real big into the Pillow series.
Pillow series, awesome.
I think that there is inherently a push and pull between doing a rom-com but having it be like Pixar, a kids movie that's not always just for kids, of having those like interpersonal dynamics. I think some of the fun in rom-coms is the banter, the push and pull, like of whatever the like trope it is, whether it, like it's usually two people that aren't supposed to be together for a variety of different reasons. But I think having that play for kids I think that there's like inherently like you can't play into some of the funner parts about that.
Right, because it's adult. It's adult material.
So
I'd agree.
like, yeah, you can't really, I think you kind of can't have a great rom-com with kids because it also kind of probably feels weird if you're an adult and you're like, this is weird.
And comment section, miss me with the it's a kids movie. Like
It's a Pixar movie.
it's
Yeah.
we've thoroughly enjoyed a lot of what Pixar can do throughout the start of Toy Story 1. Like we know what they're capable of, and they've always been movies that can satisfy both audiences. So like I've always just hated it's a kids movie. That's why, or like Star Wars is for kids. I've always hated that sort of excuse of like, no, but you could still make it quality for a lot of different people.
And Pixar's always been the exception to that rule for the most part. So like they're clearly capable of that.
Yeah, we weren't reviewing Minions,
Well, that's also
Sing 7.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking on the kids, and you guys talking about the kids in the theater, there was a ton of kids in my theater as well. I love watching kids movies with kids. Like, I feel like it's awesome. And watching Super Mario, like, just hearing kids lose their mind so much is, like, it's part of the fun. Like, I love that there's that magic, and it brings me back to why I love movies and stuff. And, like, there were kids in this, they were kind of into it. Like, I think that it was, like, it got some laughs, and at things that I was like, I would never laugh at that. I think this is poorly written, whatever. And they were laughing. I don't think it was a home run, though. I feel like I was kind of like, oh, hey, this shit's not in for me for the most part. It's not in for the kids either. So I didn't get a shit story, but you know what I mean?
The shit story was hilarious. I will say the two little girls sitting next to me paid attention for the most part, except for when one had to drop a deuce.
The last 20 minutes, though, they were like very
That's
done.
the last 20 minutes of
Yeah.
every movie with every kid. Like when we saw Transformers, the two boys sitting next to me were like good. They were good for like a while, and then by the time the third act came about, it was just sensory overload with a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
Which I don't have kids, but I have to imagine that's probably a pretty common thing when you're sitting in a 2-hour plus movie. But if you quiz the kids and you're like, what was that movie about? I don't think they're gonna be able to write you an essay on the adult themes of the film, but I'm sure they got some of it, and I'm sure they understood some of it and it soaked through. So in that regard, they do their job. But it is adult themes.
Andy Cortez.
This one I've been working on since I drove to work this morning, Tim.
You drove while you did this?
No, I was just thinking of the lyrics.
Okay.
And trying to like figure things out. So it's a hard one for me to play, so we'll figure it out. Here we go.
Yep.
One more time. I hate that note because it doesn't feel right, but it is. You got fucked by Disney.
Yep.
You got fucked by Disney.
Oh, food.
Where the road looks. No, sorry. Where the road looks rougher at Disney Plus killed your hype and your arrival's dead. Just remember what Kevin said. Yeah, you got fucked by Disney. Yeah, you got fucked by Disney.
That was great.
Panic and the look that Tim and I exchanged when you started that, like, oh no, we're gonna have to edit this one.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Sorry,
great.
it's got a lot of jazz chords I'm not used to playing.
I don't think that was why they were
No,
worried about it, Andy.
It was that you got fucked that you started with it. We were like,
Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
It reminds me
It was
of,
good. We got there though.
That was great.
F sharp diminished 7. That's so hard, bro.
It's very hard.
Minish 7?
Yeah,
It's my least favorite Zelda.
crazy.
That's tough. Ladies and gentlemen, the plot behind Elemental. We see Bernie and Cinder. Lumen.
Hey.
Lumen.
Lumen.
The measure of light.
Ah,
Candlelight.
that's a
Lumens.
character?
That's their last name, the Lumens. It's Ember Lumen.
Didn't realize that.
I mean, we got the ripples and the lumens. Keep up.
When I get names like that, I always think of Guardians of the Galaxy, where we have a name like Nebula, and I'm like, this is a gigantic universe. How many nebulas are there? You can't just be named Orion. There's got to be a shit ton of Orions. You know what I mean?
It's like names though, right? A lot of Andys.
Yeah, but it'd be if I was like Human Man in a world of like other human mans.
I mean, yeah. But, there's apples out there. now.
Anyway, yeah.
They, of course, literally step right off the boat into Element City. And this confused me at first because I had no idea what this movie was about. Absolutely zero.
I also had not seen a trailer. Right?
Hadn't seen a trailer, hadn't had any idea. And so when I looked at the character designs and what they were wearing, they wear this like
chainmail
dress, but I've only ever seen that at like the Met Gala. I thought they were rich. I was like, why are they on this? Why are they on a barge? I thought they were taking a pleasure cruise around like the Hudson. You know, I was like, what's going on here? And they get off, and then I start. Oh, and through the storytelling, I started getting the hitch. I was like, oh, okay, they're immigrating from another land. They're not well received here. But why is she in a $10,000 ball gown from Vera Wang? That's very weird.
So funny.
It's so weird.
I loved the look of these things, and I especially feel with Ember, like later in the
hood.
movie, the hood was so sick. Her little
You're
jacket.
just a sucker for hoods because
I
it's Spider
definitely
Gwen.
am. But I liked her vibe. She
Yeah.
looked dope as hell.
Of course, we get introduced to Element City, where all the elements live. This is weird to me. I'm like, okay, I get where we're going here, but I'm not sure that I love this because it seems like it's really on the nose and kind of a weird concept to integrate all of the elements together. Mostly because we've been taught by a lot of things that elements always fight each other. You know what I mean? Like we've got water beats fire, fire beats wind. You know, whatever. So I think
Pokemon.
everything beats fire.
Pokemon.
There you go. Perfect. I was thinking Captain Planet, which doesn't make sense. And I was
I
also
was
thinking Power
thinking-
Rangers, which doesn't make
Not
sense.
no sense at
I
all.
was
Yeah.
not
thinking-
at all.
Not Korra, but the other one.
Avatar.
What am I thinking?
Yeah, there we
Avatar.
go.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, they get there and they can't find a place, and they finally find a broken down building, which is for sale. And so Bernie decides to buy it and start a store there. This hit me because I used to love going to my Uncle Danny's Italian deli. That is what this very much reminded me of. Built by him. I mean, you know, he built the whole thing up. He built the whole business up. And when I used to go in, everything always smelled like salami. And so anytime I smell salami, you know, they say like the smell is the best for like remembering things. It always reminds me of Uncle Aunt Danny. And he had a phone in the back, and I'm pretty sure it was a bookie.
Yeah, my great grandparents started a deli in Hawaii, and grew up hearing my grandparents helped run it. Stories from my dad of like him running across the street and like going back and forth to the dry cleaners and stuff like that. So it was like cool. I feel like I hadn't seen that story like in a while and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is like a cool thing.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Of course, they start a place called the Fireplace. Great name. And it's a convenience store for the locals of Firetown, I think is what it's called. The Fire District. We established they've got districts in this, and the fire people are not looked well upon, mostly because everything they touch literally lights on fire. And for the tree people, you can imagine how difficult that must be for them to integrate with one another.
I'll say it took me a while to feel like this movie looked incredible. Because a lot of these shots are during the daytime and they are made of light and they emit light. So a lot of the shots sort of seem flat for me because there wasn't like a whole lot of cast shadows. But once we got to nighttime at
Yeah.
the shop and we see her kind of like, illuminating this room kind of just around her, that's when I was like, oh, this movie is way nicer in moments like these. But in the daytime, it's always kind of like tough to kind of like whenever I'm playing a video game, Tim, I always like, no, I want to turn the lamp off because I don't want to like illuminate around me. Liza P. Anyway.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
What I call it, Life of Pi?
Yeah, that's it.
The P stands for Pinocchio. Soon enough, they have Ember, their one and only daughter, and Bernie is training her to take over the store. And she has a lot of outbursts of rage and anger. You're not quite sure why, but she has frustration with the clientele. She doesn't have the patience for them. Of course, on the day before, or the blue, I think we're skipping around a little bit here. The day of the red dot sale, the big red dot sale, Bernie's grooming her to take over. He says, you're going to run this sale. All goes well at first until all the clientele pisses her off. And then she has to go downstairs and rage down near the pipes. When she does, of course, the pipes burst, and they're not supposed to have water in them because obviously, why would you need water in Firetown?
The one big thing you skipped is kind of the setup for this, which is like her from being a little kid all the way to being an adult.
Sure.
Growing them one day, this will be yours. Like you're gonna be there, and then her having temper problems, and her kind of like
acting out.
moments of her like having bursts and explosions and all that throughout her life to lead to this moment of, hey, it's all on you. This is the big test, and then
Right.
she has the big boom.
I thought we were going to see more of the little fire level thing of colors in play.
Well, because
Like
at
she
one
turned
point,
purple?
the two, like the Waldorf and Statler over in the corner, like she's
Yeah.
gone full purple on this, and you're like, oh, she's gonna go blue. Is that gonna be like the hottest?
I thought that was going to be a
That's
factor
a
in
good
this
point.
movie, and it just never.
And no, it
But
never
then
was.
she can't go blue because he's blue. He's water.
Exactly. Purple was an interesting choice because that's not really, you don't really see too much purple in fire. But I did like that they used that as sort of like a bit of visual storytelling for when there's moments of it as she's frustrated. You see her go purple a little bit throughout the
Yeah.
entire movie, which I thought was pretty cool. Of course, out pops Wade, and immediately not a likable character.
Yeah,
He
maybe
starts-
the worst intro to a
Yeah.
character I've seen in years.
He starts talking, and I'm like, this guy. I was like, oh, good. This is just a random side character that's going to lead her on her quest. At no point was I like, this is going to be the main romantic lead of this movie. And unfortunately, it was, at least until midway through, in which I started liking it a little bit more. But this is just the most annoying thing ever. This is where we're just plot wise, the movie really starts to break down for me, where I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like I'm an inspector and I have to do this thing. Oh, I'm writing this is, and all that stuff. It's like that level of like, I don't know if dramatic irony is the right word for it, but I don't like that. It's just unbelievable. It's one-dimensional. It's storytelling from 1985 soap operas, and it just doesn't work for me. Of course, then she has to assault him.
Nick, that is such a good way to put it, and that's unfortunate.
It's bad, right? It's very much akin to the thing that I will rage against in storytelling every single time, where it's like one character withholds information from another character. Why, Joey? Because I was trying to
save you.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to protect you. It's that level of cringe where you're like, come on, are we fucking done with this already? Is this character so one-dimensional? He just does his job and has to write 500 tickets to this person. Doesn't matter. It moves the story along. She assaults him over and over, literally attacks him to stop him from filing this thing. Again, plot-wise, I'm like, what is your angle here? Because if you take this ticket book from him, does he not gonna remember where the fireplace is? Is he not just gonna come back with a team of people to shut your business down? Like, this doesn't solve anything.
And
right?
he's also not super offended by any of it.
No.
Like, I bet, what the fuck? Come on, I'm doing my job. Get the fuck away from me. You
Yeah,
know, like,
exactly.
It's just
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like
the tension
and
that
I'm-
they're lacking.
And yeah,
Indeed.
we have that little train sequence.
She a baddie though.
Oh, she a baddie. You're
I
right.
mean,
You're right.
But he's
you have
also
to
not
imagine,
like
right?
doesn't seem super enamored with her
Yeah.
either.
no.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and
It's
then
a weird
like
vibe.
you know, that train sequence where she's trying to get after him or whatever, and then you get that sort of foreshadowing of the chemistry part that we get near the end. But like, I definitely didn't know it was foreshadowing, because I'm just like, what the hell is this
When she
about?
sees
Where
herself
she
in the
sees
back
her
of his head.
reflection, she's like, oh my god! I'm
weird.
like, this is doing nothing for me. I
That
don't know
was
what
really weird.
I don't know what you're trying to make the audience feel in this moment. And then you're like, oh shit, they're kind of fighting on the shuttle, and then he leaves the train before she does, and he's just kind of walking down the street as she keeps. And I was like, she's coming after you, dude. Like,
She's fire.
Yeah, this is very.
I
odd.
do
In
have
rom-coms, we call this a golden retriever boyfriend.
Yeah.
Just like, no thoughts, just
Sure.
Just,
Yeah.
just living
pretty
life.
and has a great dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like I will say I do like the bit of action where they have to squeeze through the crack after each other. So
That was
Oh, that
cool.
was cool.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
You could just tell that they were like, we need something here. We need something exciting here to keep kids going, because we've had, again, another thing I don't love, but Pixar movies often have to do, which is the first 30 minutes of every Pixar movie is, let me tell you about this world. Let me just explain that this is
Exposition.
all exposition to you. We got the water, we got the wind, we got this, we got this, we got that. This is how this whole thing's going to work. Ready? Let's start the story. And
When it
that's
hits,
where
it hits
starts right
though.
here.
When it
wait.
doesn't, it's really noticeable. Where it's like, oh, we're just talking about things.
Yeah,
I'm
again.
not in this.
Absolutely, right? Inside Out, we got Amy Poehler who's like, hey, let me explain to you how this works. I'm this person's like Joy, and I'm in this person's brain. You're like, all right, cool. There's no other way you could possibly show this. People would be so confused if you're like, what the fuck's going on with these characters? So that makes sense. But anyway, we follow her. She attacks him again. Again, he's like, sorry, this is going to really disappoint you. Goes to the drain, and she makes this big wall of fire and then goes into his organization. Again, don't love that level of storytelling here, because it's one of those things where all it would take is him to not be a one-dimensional character, be like, what's going on? And her to be like, this is my dad's shop, which of course she does. If you take this away from him, it's going to destroy him, and he'll blame it on me. And then Wade suddenly gets it at the wrong time when the little thing goes up the pipe, and you're like, ugh. Like, I hate that. It's so lazy. It's so like we couldn't think of a better situation to put these two characters in to actually have them bonding.
Yeah, like if it would have been his boss that gave all the tickets and then she goes to try and get it and she finds him and he helps her. Like,
Exactly
is that a better storyline?
It would have been a much better. Well, first off, they were like, Wade needs to be the thing that gets her out of Fire City. She says, I never need to leave this place. The rest of the world is scary. It's not accommodating to me. Why would I need to leave? Which is a very interesting and heartfelt thing to say. And then, of course, Wade should be the person to potentially bring her out of that shell. But the way he brings her out of the shell is weird, and it's negative, and it's combative, and not in the fun, sexy, we're flirting together way. In the, this guy's going to ruin my fucking dad's life, and he's got this weird cough that just goes away by the end of the movie, and suddenly he's okay.
Oh, the
Oh my
dad?
God! A cough in the first act.
Yeah. Usually,
Misdirection.
cough in the first act, coffin in the third act. Usually,
Hey,
but
hire this
Nick,
guy.
that was 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
that
God
was 10 out of 10.
damn.
usually. But anyway, we go through this whole thing, and then all the guys are like, listen, let me help you out. My boss happens to be at a game right now. We're gonna go watch Quidditch right now. It's Win Quidditch.
Blitzball, baby.
Yeah, Blitzball. We're gonna go up and watch this. My boss Gail is there. Gail is played by. I want to shout out the actress.
Gale Wind.
Ah,
Just really
So
on it.
good. Also, the actress' name is Wendy.
Oh.
Think about this. Wendy McLeodon Covey, who was one of the bridesmaids in Bridesmaid.
Oh.
She was the one that, the blonde one on the plane that just was like so excited to be away
Oh,
from
yeah.
her
Your Cinderella
family.
and the
Yeah,
whole thing.
great. She's funny. This is weird. Like you're interrupting the why? Like you can't.
Yeah,
it's
you know,
just weird.
honestly, this was I liked it because I like big hype sports moments, and then they used that song. What is the name?
Oh,
Yeah. Is that Kraftwerk? I don't know.
It's
Whatever
like
it is.
zombie something.
I didn't
think.
expect them to keep using it.
Yeah, I didn't either. Big fan of that though. Big fan of the big spectacle sports stuff.
think it's
but I'm
Zombie
with
Nation.
you that I'm like, what's happening right now? Like,
Well, 'cause-
she's here, and like that's why you had to get the way that they set this up plot wise was I thought messy and just like to say convenience, not even right. It just wasn't interesting.
lazy. And it's not interesting. And not only that, it makes me not like either of the main characters. Because I'm like, you're going to a football game, basically, or a soccer game,
Basketball.
whatever. Basketball, I guess, whatever. I guess it's basketball. This is basket, right? Your boss is at a basketball game, so you're interrupting her while she's just having this one moment of like recreation. You can't talk to her the next day. Like, what is the decision making here? This makes me
If
not
I
like
was
you
the boss,
guys.
I'd be so annoyed.
Yeah, but like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I bought this. This is a box seat. You know what I mean? The box, he's taking up the whole thing.
Also, I think it is very funny that it's like with the elements, it's like cool. We got a lot of focus in this movie on fire and water. Then there's a couple other they lightly
Right.
introduce and stuff, but a lot of it is okay. Hey, the water people they cry a lot. What do the wind people do?
Blow.
Everything's a fart joke. Every single thing is a fart joke for
funny.
them, and I'm like,
Team-
damn,
The
dude.
windbreakers and the
Yeah.
Bart knockers.
The-
what was
something
it?
like that, dude. It was just like the Toot Patrol, and it's just like, Jesus, you guys.
It's interesting too because I guess one of the things they didn't really explore that they could have, I guess, is that all the other elements could intermingle, right? I guess they do because there's trees at the
Well,
game,
that's the
right?
point. I mean, that's
well,
why
she
no
burns
fire.
up that whole room.
Right. So
in the
fire
game.
is the one. That's right. They did put that. So fire is the one element that like can't, for lack of a better term, like cross pollinate, right?
She also burns that one dude.
Yeah, before he
In the
sends up the
train.
tube.
But I
who's
feel
that
like they could
tree,
have.
and like that wasn't really a big deal for her.
I feel like it would have been interesting to see like a tree dating a gust of wind or like water dating wind, right? Because those two can actually like intermingle, but we never
Well,
really
at
saw
the end
that.
We do.
Do we see those like sort of inner elemental
well,
couples
there was
The wind lady, the boss, gets with
with the tree?
the
That's
other
right.
tree
You're right.
guy, who was like just another lame kind of, we're gonna put
He's a
up-
Ron knockoff from not Community, Parks and Rec.
I mean, not even. I just feel like
Nick,
we've seen this
what's his
archetype
name?
done before so much
Yeah,
better
the
and more
sloth
interesting.
in Zootopia,
Yeah.
or Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
You know, like
Roz.
Mike Wazowski.
Michael Roz is awesome. Anyway, so he's like, listen, Gail's like, you're pissing me off. My team's losing. The Windbreakers are losing. Windbreakers, awesome name for a team. Again, when they're creative, 10 out of 10. When
I
it
forgot
works,
what the
10
other
out of 10.
team was. It was a fart joke, though.
It was.
Definitely was.
yeah, and those weren't the only fart jokes.
Two
Like,
Patrol.
there was so many fart jokes.
Oh my god,
Damn
that's
movie.
hilarious. I thought Windbreaker like jacket
No.
Yeah.
No,
Oh no.
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 because he wears a jacket later called the Seabreaker.
Oh, does he really?
Yes. When he goes somewhere, he zips up a jacket. It says Seabreaker, and I was like, God, that's funny. That's just 10 out of 10. I should have been a dad. At one point, I was waiting for someone to be like, "Hey, watch my kid." I'm like, "I'm ready. For it. I'm ready for this. I gotta take my kids to take a shit. Watch the other one." I'm like, "I'm ready. I got this." A lot of dad jokes. Anyway, Gail's like, "Look, my team's not winning here." And of course, this is where Wade starts to become a redeemable character. Where he's like, "I can rally this entire stadium. I have positivity on my side," and he does it. And they do a wave.
I
a
love that they
physical
do the wave with the water. I
Yeah,
think-
which is fun. And the lead player, the LeBron James of this team, ends up figuring it out and then shoots a ball through all the other players and wins the game. Gail, overjoyed, says, "Look, if you can fix this, if you can find the problem by Friday, arbitrary." Again, another story element where I'm like, Gail, it's your job to fix these things, right? The city that's not supposed to have water, it's like, let's put it the opposite, right? If you were a city official and somebody came to you and said, "We don't have water," and you said, you got to figure this the fuck out or I'm going to close your shop, I'd be like, I'm going to sue you. We need water. We don't have water, right? Like, what was it, Flint, Michigan? People were like pretty pissed off that they didn't have water, right? That wasn't something you could just be like, you go figure it out right now or I'm closing your dad's shop.
That's kind of what they did.
Yeah, fair. But there was massive lawsuits and a lot of bad backlash on that, right? Yeah. This is just one of those weird moments where it's like, shouldn't Gail care more about why there's water in Firetown?
I'm telling you. RaGu BaGu. We're putting bureaucracy on the list for this.
Yeah, I mean, that is the point, right? It's just, again, is it well presented in the movie? I don't know, but that's what they were saying.
And I am so glad that Wade kind of cheering on that player led to, not a plot point, but just led to a line of dialogue of Ember talking to him and being like, look how much... like people love you and you're so easy to kind of like get along with. Like, look, you won over that whole crowd and you don't even know who those people were. They started cheering with you. I'm so glad that we got to that point because I was like, as he's cheering them, I was like, what is this for?
Yeah,
This is like just
no, you're right. Yeah, but I do think that was good, and like I didn't like the point earlier of her looking into him either because I thought it felt weird. But I think by the end of it and with the context of all this, I think it was really like not so much I see myself in him, more that like she needed to see herself. She needed to understand who she is to like find her own identity and find. Her being able to relate with all of it in a way that he is able to relate with others. But yeah, it's those moments together, I was like, well, one of these is strong and one of these is a little weird.
So we got a lot of exposition here where he talks. They're like, let's go backtrace it. Where did it start? Where were you when you got sucked in? They start tracing it back. As they do that, we do have a couple elements here where that's worth noting. Where he talks to her, like she's like, I think I was the cause of this. Like I must have been. My temper like broke something or whatever. I didn't think that it broke the dam, but pretty sure it didn't.
I don't think so.
That'd be weird. That'd be a stretch. But he's like, hey, maybe your temper is just your body and yourself trying to tell you something that you don't quite understand about your feelings. And she's like, oh. And then the rest of the audience is like, yeah, you don't want to take over your dad's shop. But that's okay. It takes her another 2 more hours to figure that out. We'll sit with her. It's fine. They come across this massive crack in the dam. Again, my real world brain, being a 43-year-old adult, goes, this is a fucking huge problem. This is a massive leak in a dam that should be immediately fixed. Meanwhile, Wade's like, I'll get the team on it. It'll be fixed in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And you're like, what the fuck? It's Friday. It's 3 days. But still, it's like, this should be probably something we fix like immediately, right?
Yeah, but I do think that that's the real world shit. I think them showing, again, going back to the on the nose stuff, the fact that it was always a cruise ship going by, just showing the opulence of it all, it's causing the actual problem. But and like the people it would actually affect when it would finally break. Like, that's what they're working with there.
I guess to me, the thing is this, right? You're dealing with the real life personification of fire, water, wind, and earth. How fucking hard is it to fix a dam, right? You have clouds floating in the sky. Like, you have this fantastical world where seemingly a lot of different crazy shit can happen. Is it really that hard to fix this like crack in this thing? I don't know.
It's levels of priority.
I think that this is the only part of the metaphor that works for me because it wasn't super jammed down our throats. Like the idea that we're even discussing it here, I think shows that it was done pretty smartly. Because I agree that people in
but was it because the reason why he couldn't fix the dam was explained off camera? He's like, I pissed the guys off one day and they won't come fix the dam. It's not like, hey, this Firetown's not a priority because these are a bunch of like lower class citizens that we don't give a shit about. It's I pissed off the guys for some stupid reason. I can't remember what it was.
But I think that's the point, though, is that like they're not even thinking about those people. There's like, there's problems here. Fuck, we fucked it up. We'll figure it out when we figure it out. It's just it's prioritizing all this stuff.
Yeah, like the immediacy of not having the immediacy to fix it in that moment because you just whatever. Like
the Disney kid in me, the Pixar kid in me needed the Ursula who's like, fuck those people. I don't care. We needed the bad guy. The laziness of like, hey, a crew just couldn't get to it until like a couple days later. Like just the ticking clock of like closing the story. It wasn't enough heightened tension for me to care about what's happening in the story. Does that make sense? There needed to be an imminent threat that's a little bit more.
I needed Steve Buscemi as the monster and
Randall.
as Randall.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Steve Buscemi from Happy Gilmore. Where he's like, no problem, man. Thanks for the apology.
Put him in there, too.
Off the list. Either way, I hear what you guys are saying. And yes, I think that it does go toward the theme. I just feel like it was a little bit weird for me where he's like, oh, the guys can't fix it because of something. I was like, that's weird. Then because of something. That's weird. But of course, that something is we've seen her at this point like melt the sand and make glass multiple times. She makes a little ball for him with the Vegavoda tree that she wasn't able to see because they excluded her from that because of her race.
The sand bit was the first moment of the movie that I was like truly stunned by the animation.
That was
like
cool.
when we see the beach and just like the
Dude,
level of the sand.
The
and, like,
kernels of the sand was mind blowing. Yeah, grains, not the kernels.
She, of course, when he tells her, hey, we can't fix it, she gets a great idea. We've put sandbags there. I will just use these sandbags to melt tempered glass, and that will surely hold. And that's what she does, and it's a beautiful, great effect. I'm looking at this going like glass, not the best thing. Like tempered glass, I'm sure is strong. I don't know. Kevin can weigh in on how strong tempered glass is, but surely someone else is going to look at this and go,
aquariums out of it, right?
yes, is that what it is? I always
think
thought it was that
so.
stuff they used in Star
It's a
Trek
really
for
good
the
point,
Voyage
Joe.
Home.
I'm thinking of like those shark tunnels that you walk underneath.
Yeah.
Like we do it all the time.
Sure, makes sense to me. You would think though that like
Not
when,
as decorative as what she did, though. You know?
Yes.
It was like very flowy.
I mean, don't
and
use
flowery.
carbon fiber.
yeah, definitely don't use carbon.
I
fiber.
just don't. I just don't like that it broke again.
It's weird because
I love the idea of her of this being the device to show the water people and the water parents that she's talented. And wow, you got a talent for this. You could join the firm. You could like. I love that and I was hoping that was what the story device was going to be, and then it starts breaking. And I'm like, well, then what? Maybe she's not talented. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah,
it would be
I mean,
lazy.
that's
It's
I
so
feel like
lazy.
I'm belaboring this and saying the same thing over and over in different ways.
lazy.
But I do think it's like it's the bureaucracy and it's the structure where it's not her being able to fix the problem. It's if the fire people were integrated from the ground up, they're together, we'd be able to solve these problems. And I think that was pretty explicitly said, and it just didn't feel satisfying.
Yeah.
yeah, it's I don't think it was. Yeah, I hear you. We belabored it enough, but we'll move on. I'm with you though, Andy. I thought the glass was going to be metaphorical for their love together, which I guess it kind of was, but that's not what they were going for. You know what I mean?
But that's why I mentioned it's like a punch harder moment for me.
Yeah.
Of like, when we always complain about fights in superhero movies, and the other guy wins not because he had this memory of or a thought was triggered or outsmarted. It's like he just did it better, and the idea that like the water just pushed harder. I don't know. It just
Meanwhile, while it's happening, of course, Ember and Wade are falling in love. Their mother, Cinder, is a sort of a soothsayer who can. I kind of liked this, where she's like, I can tell when a couple's in love or not if they've got the smell of love on them. She has the two little like candles or sparklers that she uses. Like they look more like incense
Like a
Yeah.
sage
sticks or
thing.
sage, whatever it is. But I thought that was kind of cute. Starts smelling it on her daughter, being like, uh-oh. Starts tracking her around. Can't quite figure out who it's going. Then finally figures out, oh gosh, she's dating a water guy. This is not going to go well. Of course.
another thing is fucking weird to me, man. Like I thought the initial moments of the mom being like, "Are you dating somebody?" I thought that's at max what we were gonna get from her being able to smell
You think her
love.
mom was getting in a fight with the door guy?
But then the fact that the whole smell thing kept on going on, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we're sticking with this as like a.
I'm like, what? How are they going to smell after they have sex the first time?
I
Are you
will
gonna
say
be
that
like, "Ew."
smell is a weird thing. I think if she had like a certain like aura,
yeah.
or something, then that would
Yeah,
have
like
made
you're
more
glowing a
sense
different color or
elementally.
The
something.
Yeah.
smell was awkward.
You're glowing a different color. Like when we mentioned how when you get angry, you turn purple, but maybe fire turns a different color when it's feeling a certain way. Like,
Or you
yeah,
have like a sparkle to you or something. I don't
I
know.
just thought it was going to be a silly quirk from the mom, and the idea that that became like a main kind of device to show that the mom knows that she's dating something, and she's sniffing her down the fucking city. It's like, man, we're really sticking with
Dude,
this.
but like the psychic mom aspect of like, you know, like some sort of like she can see more.
Yeah.
Like, man, that also hit home like for me, where it's like the amount of times mom's been like, what do you know, I've just been like, oh, all right, cool, you got me.
Well, we know you're always up to shit.
Yeah, well, I was
Kevin.
gonna say I don't think your mom was psychic, so like it's just really easy to figure out when Kevin's doing something.
I don't know, man.
Kevin walks
Just
home and just
fun.
condoms spill out of his pocket. He's like, what? A water balloon.
I think that all this stuff was like set up like to be again an analog to like the spirituality of things and like
Yeah.
it not making sense to us and us not believing in it, but like they believe in it and it's true for them. And,
Sure.
and in this case, it's true.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Like,
look-
she actually could do it. But even the scene explaining that I was surprised was again this on the nose. But the grandmother's like final words being like marry a fire person, right? And then like then them even having a conversation about that, like where it kind of writes it off as a joke, where like with the retellers, well, it wasn't exactly like that or whatever. It's like, but that's true. Like we know that. Like I know so many people that have had
Totally.
that are to this day like pressured for that type of stuff and for a multitude of reasons. But I feel like all of that is why we ended up having a woman chasing someone through a city sniffing them, which is weird, but it follows. I think that it makes sense in this movie.
Yeah, just a weird personification.
I thought it was going to be more of like looking at the photo that they took together on that date that they went on and looking at the eyes of Wade and kind of figure out like who is in this photo. And I thought there was going to be like some detective work done there.
No, she just stalked him.
Yeah.
But I mean, to your point, yes, I totally get that. As a person who grew up with a grandma that thought she could legit curse people, I understand. I understand.
I got an aunt like that.
Yeah, my grandma used to do, they used to do that, the little tooth, and that would be like, "You're dead to me."
Oh yeah, I
You're
had
cursed.
a fucking egg rubbed on my forehead.
Oh hell
Yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get a lot
My
of that
mom
shit in the
still
old world.
offers to do
Yeah, in the Italian world too.
Wait, real
you-
quick, just to, I want to explain a little bit my mom being psychic thing of like, it's happened twice now. Not psychic, but like she sees stuff that sometimes people twice now that like I was hanging out with a family friend and she looked at her and she was like, "What are you not telling me? Are you pregnant?" And the friend was like, "No." A week later, she found out she was in fact pregnant.
Everyone's favorite thing. Gets solved out with being
Yeah.
pregnant.
Yeah, very Creed too. Where are we? Oh, okay, so we go over to the water apartment, which is very opulent. We meet the Wade family, the Ripple family, excuse me, which is the mother was Catherine O'Hare. Shout out to Catherine O'Hare.
Love it.
Love that. They are, of course, a little culturally insensitive because they don't really spend time with fire people, but they're overjoyed that their son, who you get through their actions, might be a little bit not of a person that dates a lot. You know, they're like, we're excited that you're just dating anyone, and so they ingratiate, they welcome her into the home. This part for me, as on the nose as it was, kind of worked because you're like, right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They would have water in their home. It would all be water, right? Why would you not have water? You're water. And of course, her having to get on the little floaty, the kids that come up and go, "Will you die if you do this?" All that stuff. I was like, okay, yeah, this scene's working for me. We get the dinner sequence where I think the grandpa again says that line that Andy does not like, where it's like, what does he say? Like, "You speak so well for a fire person," or something like that. And they correct him. They're like, "That's grandpa. That's not what you're supposed to say." Then a glass breaks. And she fixes, or a pitcher. Glass pitcher breaks. She fixes it,
filter, yeah.
makes it beautiful. And Catherine O'Hare is like, "Oh my God, that is an incredible talent. I've never seen anyone do something like that. You should do something with that talent." And this is the first real indication that like she's not going to take over the dad's shop,
Yeah.
right? Which to me, little bit of a understatement here. I wish we had set that up a little bit more. Like
Same.
in other stories, the writer would sort of beat you over the head with the kid drawing. The dad's like, "I want you to be a doctor," and the guy's like, "I want to be a doctor, but I really love to draw.
I have all these weird glass things in my room
Yeah.
that I have to hide or
Instead,
whatever.
we sort of saw her doing that, but we never saw her honing that skill.
Put that glass down and come get the
Yeah.
thing. You know.
She's always playing with glass. You know, she really like magazines of glass builders, all of those things. So I really didn't.
Sneaking off to the city to look at the glass
Yeah.
if it's built like that.
I
yeah.
thought this was just going to be you have to control your emotions to deal with customers.
Me too. to me, and that's I think another reason why some of the story falls short for me is that, it just didn't. I mean, it kind of occurred to me that the temper was because she didn't want to take over the dad's store when Wade said it. But when she's in the store, I was like, maybe she really. I just got the sense that she really wanted to run this business.
Yeah.
Like I thought
Yeah.
she really liked it. I thought she was like, I really love what this means to the community. I really want to be the person that takes this over. I'm really, really trying hard. I never got the sense that she had wanted to do other things, and I think that's because this is the first time she'd ever really thought there is something else.
I needed a
Yeah,
dad. I
that
don't
totally
want
makes
your
sense.
laugh.
Where it's like if her entire life, her dad's telling her, "This is all for you, this is all for you," she's never let herself think about any other
Yeah.
option.
But traditionally, in stories like this,
Yeah.
you generally have the
You would have
other.
a passion that would be in conflict.
Well, you'd have the
conflict
two
with it.
worlds, right? You
Yeah.
see this in other stories. You have a group of friends that are from other families like that, but have integrated a
Weird
little
that they
bit
don't
more.
really have friends.
Yeah, she doesn't have any friends in this, except
Neither
for
does
that kid that
he.
keeps growing out the
I
little.
don't know that I would consider that a
is-
friend.
That little
The
fucking
little
creep.
kid that
flower,
just
little-
keeps hitting on her and giving her
Claude popped up.
armpit flowers.
Claude
Armpit
popped
flowers, there
up
we
and,
go.
and picked the armpit flower, and I turned over to Anna. I was like, "This is the best character in the movie."
Yeah, he's great.
and it's like,
great.
it's because he's you. But
there was a moment. There's a total sidebar. There's a moment where I think they're looking out at the city, and there's the city next to the port of water, and I'm like, how many dead bodies of water people are in there?
a lot. It's just eyeballs floating around.
Because it was just like,
But also, what's your relationship to that water? You know what I mean?
yeah,
But do you know the water? This is where my brain
yeah,
goes.
no,
You know
same
what I mean?
here.
You
Same-
look up at the sky, there's clouds. What the fuck are they doing up there?
Yeah.
Do they just choose to be up there?
Well, no, but the
This
blue-
is the
it's
same problem
Are
with
those not
cars.
people?
Are the planes alive? What's happening?
Like the flame, the blue flame they have, that isn't anything.
It's
other
not
than,
sentient.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they have
when they
non-sentient-
cooked, they used themselves to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little,
And but there's not a lot of water people filling up the bay. You know,
Very weird,
What
man.
the clouds doing up there?
But you know what I mean? You start asking
dude.
these
I get
questions
it, bro.
when you have a concept that's
I get it.
as kind of far-fetched as the elements
I
they're
get it.
personified. It's kind of weird. I did gloss over, I think, the dad having the conversation with her, being like, this is why this store is so important to me, because I had to leave our old, country because of a storm that came in. This
Yeah,
part
that was
I
also
didn't quite
iffy.
grasp.
I was also iffy of like, oh, there was a storm, destroyed his house, but all his neighbors seemed like they were fine.
They seemed okay.
and they were like, well, we can't rebuild. Let's go.
including their family.
Who was like, why are you leaving?
Uh-huh.
And they were like, the blue
I
flame
kinda
stuff.
got
He's
the
like,
vibe
you
that-
have the blue flame.
I got the vibe that that wasn't real. And it could have been a misread on my part, but I
No.
think that the reason that they did the thing I talked about earlier of the, like, oh yeah, her dying words were this, and it was like, well, that wasn't quite how it went. I think they had that line to show that, like, the telling the stories of the past when they do it isn't necessarily a reliable narrator. And I think that it's
interesting.
more that he felt that a storm was coming and that they needed to go to this new place to give their kid a better chance and all that.
Mhm.
And that's why the parents didn't respect it and all of it. But again,
That was weird
a lot
because
going on.
to me, the
Yeah.
analogy was the storm was like war, or the storm was poverty, and that they needed to escape that. But it was weird when they showed him turning back around, and everyone in the village was like, totally fine. Like, what are you doing? What's happening? And he was like, it almost wiped out our blue flame, but like everyone's blue flame was fine. And he still had his. I'm like, put it back in the thing. And then he goes on to say, I really missed that place. It was perfect for us. And I'm like, that's weird. Why would you leave then? I don't know. It was very strange. I needed to see him turn around and the whole thing was decimated and there was marauders or there was something else that was really driving them away from this land where they felt their people were. Because otherwise it's just a misstep for me.
everything
as far
changed
as,
when
like,
the Fire Nation attacked. I
Okay.
think that's the quote. I didn't watch that
Yeah, you
stupid
nailed
show.
it. It's not. It's so good,
Yeah.
Andy. It's so
James
good.
Cameron's
You're gonna love
Avatar is the better Avatar. We all know.
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
it. You are
Damn.
dilute. God.
At this point, they're fully in love. They play the crying game. It's a weird scene to me. I don't love this where it's like we try
I
to
don't
make
like
each other
the
cry.
crying
I'm like,
bit.
okay.
This is on the level of like, which I know I'm in the minority of the goats from Love and Thunder, where I'm just
No,
like,
the
this bit
goats-
is not working for me.
Yeah, at all.
The goats were horrible until they weren't.
I
And
don't think
Taika knew that.
I
Taika
don't
was
think
like,
the goats
it-
ever got there for me.
For me,
love
they
it.
did the last time when they slammed into the planet. Though, I fucking laughed my ass off. I was like, ha, Andy, goats.
Goats.
Here's
But
some
this one
popcorn.
just, I'm with you, Joe. This did not do it for me at all.
Legitimately, and this is the second time on this podcast I've said something like this, I think that the crying bit is like one of just the most objectively bad things I've seen in a movie in a long time. Where I was like, man, this just never worked, and it's a lot of this film.
Anytime they
yeah.
cut to Wade, it's,
Well, and
God.
they obviously put it in because they need it for the last bit of it.
course.
Yeah.
But it's just like we couldn't have figured out anything. Condensation.
I don't-
like
yeah.
there's no other science
Something.
thing.
Not only that, but I needed it to be something where like she could do to save him. Or, like their love together brought him back, and I guess that kind of was the best they could do, which is like she can make him cry and he'll come back.
But then everything makes him cry.
Yeah,
It wasn't like
it-
it didn't seem like something that was unique to her.
It definitely deflated the moment for me. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Because especially since she starts talking about like a bunch of generic random tropes.
It's
of
all the
movies.
stuff that she
An
pulled
old
from.
man who forgot summer. Yeah, from the
the
crying
stuff
game.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
not well,
Yeah.
their crying game, not the movie. The crying
Yeah.
game. Definitely a different vibe. Great, see that
Yeah.
one. Good movie, different vibe.
Great clarification, yeah.
Thank you. Just in case there was that one person who's like, oh. dude.
The kids movie.
Of course, they get home and Cinder's like, And her mom's like, you can't tell your dad, it'll kill him. This, of course, is on the eve where the dad, of course, perfect timing, is like,
I wish we would have gotten more of the mom and the bodyguard fighting because they just walk out so winded.
here's what I'll tell you. In my brain, if I were writing this movie, everybody get your sketch pads out. Okay, you're gonna want to paint yourself a little picture from my mind.
And paint the picture and tweet it at Tim Geddes.
Did you guys see the Haunted Mansion trailer?
Yes.
Speaking of the sketches, that bit fucking got me.
First off,
House
yeah.
of Minaj.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
1,000% in on the Haunted
Yeah,
Mansion movie.
yeah.
We're seeing this first off.
Sorry,
They had me at
continue.
Jamie Lee Curtis. If I were writing this, and this is, of course, Monday morning quarterbacking, right? I'm backseat driving here. I would have had the grandma be with them. The grandma be the soothsayer. Because to me, my grandmother, that's my touchstone for it, right? That's like 2 generations removed of a lot of the sort of mysticism that goes along with the Italian
old
culture,
country.
the old country, Catholicism, a lot of that stuff, right? I would have had her. It would have been hilarious if she was like, "This is an like a retired person at the door here. They fight, and then they fall in love eventually because she realizes that her life can still go on." Little subplot that I would have written into the movie.
I love it.
Yeah. Instead, we get the mom. She's like, "Don't tell your dad. It'll kill him," because he's like, "I got the lung pop,
Black lung.
the black lung pop.
I've got the
I got the
lung.
black lung pop." That's right. I'm sorry.
I have 2 lungs popping.
He, of course, on the eve, second, perfect timing again for drama. He's like, "Guess what? You're taking over the business tomorrow. I'm announcing it to everyone, and I've made you a brand new sign that costs a lot of money." I'm like, "Pop, you got to fix the pipes. What are you doing wasting fucking money on that? We got a perfectly good sign up there that says the fireplace. It's dope. Ember's fireplace. Too many words. Poor branding. We could corner the fireplace. Now it could be Andy's
We
fireplace
already
down
have
the
the
road.
Twitter account for the other shit.
Exactly.
so-
What do we have to do? Fireplace vids?
Yeah.
That was a tough one. Of course, she's like, "Damn it, I got to choke this back." I don't know. She goes back to Wade, and they argue, and she's like, "I just can't do this, man. I gotta do this for my dad. It's his dream. I love him." And Wade's like, "I think you don't want to do this. I think you want to go to that glass blowing school that we just introduced 5 minutes ago. That is an incredibly important part of this movie that should have been set up in Act 1." And she's like, "I don't know. It's so far away. No, I'm gonna take over the shop tomorrow with my dad. What's gonna happen?" Meanwhile, I think the dam broke also.
But I feel
That's
like we
cracking.
skipped going to the museum,
Oh, we did skip that, right?
which was supposed to be this big magical
weird.
Disney moment, and it just did not.
Oh no,
hit.
that's at this point because she goes, "I want to
he's
break
like,
up with
"Listen,
you,"
I hear
and he
you.
goes, "Totally understand that. Let me take you on this. Let me try to stay with you instead on this adventure," which was weird, right?
Yeah.
I think
So-
they have this conversation after they pop out, but maybe not.
They knocked the dad off.
No, after they pop out of the bubble, like they burst out of the. aquarium thing.
They knocked the fuck out of her.
No,
dad. That was
I don't
crazy.
think so. I think, and I could be wrong, and the comments can leave a comment if I'm wrong about this, but I think she goes back to him and says, like, "This isn't working. I really got to take over my dad's place." And he's like,
The moment
"Cool,
they do
hold
that-
that thought, let me take you down to this thing," right?
And they do the
I could be
they
wrong.
do the flower bit that like just not super greatly set up and not super greatly executed for the follow up for it. And I agree with you, Tim. This is supposed to be walking in the forest
No.
of Pandora and like magical
No.
and colorful. It just wasn't.
They do it. She wants to break up with him. He goes, "Hold that thought," takes her down. They come up. She's so overjoyed
They
by the
touch
fact
for
that she
the first
saw
time.
it. They touch for the first time. Then they almost kiss. And then she's like, "Wait a minute, I can't do this. I realize."
Scared.
Yeah, she gets too scared. And she's like, "This
Yeah.
can't happen." And I think she remembers something of like from the store or something like that, right?
He says a line to her that was
Right.
the same thing her dad said to her throughout her life.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Damn it, duty to family."
The thing of
But they
putting her
also-
in a bubble, kind of cool though.
Cool.
Yeah, neat
Who could have
concept.
possibly thought that would go poorly?
Yeah.
Why don't you just go down there and get her the flower and bring it back up? I digress.
Also, kind of weird that only his boss can put her in a bubble. Like, how come Wade can't do that? Oh, I guess she's wind, right?
She's wind.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
she had
Okay.
to
I did
blow
like that.
air
She's
into
like,
it, a little air bubble.
Yeah.
Bubble in the water.
And before that,
I
they
didn't go there.
also we also had that moment of her firelight shining through his body to light the other.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
We had the mom being like, "Here's why you can't fall in love," and then
You can't light your candle.
he lights the candle with by magnifying her light, which I
Now-
was like weird, but I'll buy it.
Here's the thing. At this point in the movie, I'm bought it enough. I get what it is. I get it's not going
At
to be
this
my
point,
favorite
I'm like,
Pixar
do I want more
movie.
popcorn?
I was like, I'm here for this. I'm enjoying them. I want to see where it takes me. And when they set up the conflict of, hey, you're exposed, you're a water dude, I'm the mom, and I got some thoughts on this. Here's the fucking test, light the fire. I was like, how the fuck's he gonna light the fire?
Yeah, how's he gonna light that
How's
fire?
he gonna do it? He's a water guy. How's
Yeah.
he gonna fucking do it? And the way you did it, I was like, you know what? more clever than I expected, but not as clever as I
Not as
needed
clever
it
it
to
needed
be.
to be.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll give you the like one little clap, not a full clap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I legit thought he was just gonna go like this: take the one that's lit and light the other one with it, and put it back down, and be like, "What does this prove to anything?" But they needed to have a moment where the two of them worked together to light it. I guess this is the best you could do. I don't know if water can amplify something that well.
No, but this is the follow up and callback to her seeing her reflection. Like
In
I
him,
think that's
yeah.
the visual sort of thing
Sure.
where she sees her reflection in that that really dark subway scene or whatever.
You definitely get where the story note came down, and it just said "good enough" at this
Yeah.
point. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Let's ship
yeah.
it. We're done."
We also
Um,
skipped the one part where he got banned from their store, which was like after all of that, right?
Right, because he was a food
watering down their
inspector.
snacks.
That I actually liked. So that I thought was interesting because I thought the commentary there was like, yeah, you're kind of whitewashing their culture with these snacks, right? They have these things that are
in the most literal way you could
Yeah.
possibly.
Wa-
show
you're
it. Just
literally
like the rest of the
watching it.
movie, but
It's
yeah.
true.
You are
but-
water washing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Washing them.
I thought that was an interesting.
Thank you.
To me, that worked because the dad got really angry about that, and I was like, yeah, that would make sense because you're literally telling people it's like telling someone their food
Why
was
the
too
fuck
spicy,
are you putting ketchup on this shit, dude?
Yeah.
Like,
which makes for a dad that would piss him off. But that whole scene was again another weird. Why not just be like, yeah, I'm the water inspector. I am the water. I have a tag that says water inspector on me.
The gag
Like,
got me though.
The
Yeah, that's
hand.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good gag. That
Two
was
gags,
a really
two
good
gags
one.
that got me were the inspector thing, and I it's a shame for me to even admit this to you guys. Nick might be on my side with this, but the mom coming down the subway stairs and just the sound design of the, I laughed.
I laughed too. I think Andy laughed at that too.
yeah, no, Claude made me laugh, and the magnifying thing was
Yeah.
a very good visual.
It was very
gag.
clever, especially since it was a 1-2 punch. Where it's like, no,
Yeah.
bigger, both ends. It was funny. From here, it's the day of the inauguration. Man, we're opening up this store. We're grand reopening.
I like their outfits in this. They're like sparkly, cool versions of their like chainmail outfits. Real dope.
We of course we're about to hand the keys over to Ember, and Wade interrupts. And this was one of those weird things where I was like, really?
Got to have a grand gesture in a rom com,
In
you know?
2023, I'm like, this is gonna make one of those BuzzFeed lists that I read all the time of cringy moments in movies that love like characters should never do. Right up there with like never sing a woman a song in front of her friends if she doesn't know she likes you, right?
It's a Dobler Dahmer
Mm-hmm.
moment. You know?
Yes.
Either
Remind me
you're-
what that is.
Either you do these grand gestures and somebody, depending on how they feel about you, it's either a Lloyd Dobler say anything,
Right.
romantic thing, or it's a Jeffrey Dahmer
It's creepy as shit.
serial killer.
Yeah. To me, they try to wave this away by him saying, I know this is a bad thing for me to be doing, but it's still for me, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
But
man?
also just coming from a character that lacks any sort of charisma, that's why I like it even less. And I know that's kind of supposed to be the point, but I'm just like, I don't care if this works out for you. I just haven't been entertained by anything you've done in this movie.
But to me, it's even worse than that because it kind of takes a little of the agency away from her, right? I mean, ultimately, it is her decision to make, but he forces her hand in it, which is weird and stifles her character growth a little bit to me. And it's also just it's an outdated trope that we should not be putting in movies anymore because why? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
See, for me again, it goes back to just the cultural side of it as opposed to the romantic side of it, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work to me. They present it as a rom-com, so we're expecting a rom-com answer, and they're not giving that. I think it's more set up as like the water people throughout this entire movie. Any of the water people we actually meet, not the bureaucracy behind it all. The white people we meet in this movie are not bad. They don't do a single bad thing. Not a single thing. Everything could be taken as bad. The word said can be like, ooh, that's kind of, you shouldn't say those things.
They would have
Yeah,
voted for
couple
Obama
close
twice if
But
they could.
100% though. That's
Yeah.
the vibe.
they would put the sticker
right?
on their bumpers too.
But-
Let everyone know.
But I think that like this movie did a decent job of presenting that of like, they're not bad, but they're still not getting it right. And I feel like that it's just presenting the fact that these different cultures do things differently. And even though there isn't the right and wrong, it's like, it's the level of understanding, and they even directly say that here in the moment when she like confronts him about it. But I feel like what he was doing is quote unquote right from many points of view. But to interrupt what was happening there being like, I have the answers.
Not
here.
understanding the context.
Exactly. It's like, it's really, really bad, even though it is what was necessary from the rom-com perspective. And I think, again, this isn't presenting anything as like an answer. It's just presenting a reality that we live in. And so I think there's value there.
I hear you. To me, I think this just made me feel like I was watching a rom-com from 2002. But looking at all those moments that are, you know,
A lot of bad haircuts. Yeah.
a lot of great haircuts too. A lot of great haircuts. This just felt weird, and it felt out of place for the character. It felt like Wade was a lot
That's
more
my
in
issue.
touch with his emotions and was way more sensitive, and realized that the shitstorm he could cause by doing this is weird. You're introducing yourself to a father you've already lied to, right? He thinks you're someone you're not. You've already lied to him once. You've helped ruin his life almost. You're now in love with his daughter. He has no idea who you are, and you're telling him that he might lose his daughter forever to a far off school, all in one setting. Why the fuck would you do that? Like, this needed an older brother character who's like, as he was about to do it, would grab his fucking jacket and pull him back and be like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Or it needed to be right before she goes up, he pulls her aside and says, are you sure you want to do this? And then the dad happens to overhear that or something. But like stopping everything, her entire family being there, bro, you can't be doing that. That makes me not like this character.
I guess when I think about it, it's like it plays off of him rallying the entire arena at the game to make the player better, to make the team win so that she can talk to the boss in a better thing.
So the way you do it is then you rally the mom, right? You have a moment with him and the mom where she's already kind of on your side. She's on the fence at least.
She knows what's going on.
She knows what's going on, and she knows that you have true love. She's seen the whole thing happen, and she's the one that can explain it to the father in terms that he can understand.
Yeah.
But you have a moment where like the mom
He's
sees him do
dumb.
something amazing and goes, "Fuck, this guy is actually pretty good." Like maybe my bias against this or what I'm bringing to the table needs to be reevaluated. But if the mom saw this, she'd be like, "Pins in it. This fucking kid's never marrying my daughter. Never." Like if my mom saw this happen, she'd be like, "This done." She would purposely mess that person's name up for the rest of my life. That's a mom thing to do.
Can I tell you that my great grandma my great grandma called my mom Pauline for her entire life because she was like so not happy with her name being Darlene that my mom for her entire life had her grandmother call her Pauline.
God, that's hilarious.
So yeah, totally relatable.
Totally get that. Anyway,
I'm realizing right now, real quick, and this is going to be a controversial take, but I fucking stand by it. I'm realizing right now this is a kids movie for all intents and purposes, so it also needs to work at this level. With the movie I'm about to say does not. But this story-wise is just a worse version of You People on Netflix. Which is a movie that people derided, but I'm telling you, it's a better version of this story, and it's actually really good.
Heard of.
it's a better version of the story.
Jonah Hill and
and Eddie Murphy's in it, and Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah, I heard that was real bad. That's the
Yeah.
one where they had
It's
like
not bad.
It's really good.
CGI them kissing, right?
Yeah, that was weird. I
'Cause
don't know. I don't remember
Yeah,
why.
they-
I can't remember why they did that, but
Yeah, I think there was like a COVID thing. They had Jonah Hill and the lead actress like get close together, and then it's like their lips are like overlapping.
Oh, that's
like,
hilarious. I was not watching this movie, judging CG at all.
But again, to my earlier point, the reason why I think that movie works, unfortunately, the reason why there was backlash in the movie, I stand by the fact that they built it as a comedy. It's not a comedy. It's just a pretty dramatic
It's a
look
race
at
relations.
race relations in America right now.
Guess who's coming to dinner, but not.
Yes, but they build it as it's Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy and Julie Louis-Dreyfus. You're like, I'm expecting a laugh a minute, and it's like, no, we're going to get some really interesting conversations and some awkward moments between a lot of these characters, and it's going to be intense. And it was intense. But I think that's why this movie fails, because that is a really adult theme that's hard to explore in a PG or G-rated kids movie without going there, which You People does go there. But it's also an R-rated movie.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
hard.
yeah. It's uncomfortable. It's an
tough.
uncomfortable movie, no matter what
Right.
way you shake it. And I do think in this presentation of the idea, there's uncomfortable moments of just,
Totally.
hey, like you don't want to be those people, and then you can take that for whatever way you want to take it. Of like the way they're being presented in this movie, it's like the water people. I don't want to be that.
No.
You get what I'm saying? Even
Yeah.
though they're good, it's like, and I think again that's where the value lies in this, but it just can get a little bit weird. And scenes like this happen where it's like he thought he was doing the right thing here, and he debatably was. And again, from perspectives, he was doing the right thing. He was doing what she wanted, and she did need that help, but not that way. But there was no other way in this moment. It's complicated. It's real.
Counterpoint? What if you waited till the next day?
But then she already agreed, and he's retired. Not that really matters.
Does it really fucking matter? That's my big problem. It's not like
Like,
it's
honey,
not
I'm
like
dying tomorrow.
you're about to get on the plane to Paris. I'm gonna fucking lose you forever. Once I know Tim goes to Paris, he's gonna experience a whole other life that I'm never gonna get him back if this is our last moment.
Nick's never gonna be able to compete.
I'm
with
never gonna
Paris,
look
Tim.
gaze longingly into Tim's baby blue eyes and be like,
Go to
I'm not
the
gonna go.
airport and tell Jennifer Love Hewitt that you've always been in love with her and you're the one who wrote that letter. Can't hardly wait.
Back in the day that hit. Looking back at it now, you're like, that guy's a creep. He was weird. Again, another one of those moments. If I wrote that movie, I would have had an older brother pull Ethan Embry aside and be like, you gotta stop this,
But I
bro.
love
You
Ethan
gotta
Embry.
I don't want to bail you out of jail.
Oh, bro, this is weird and creepy.
Okay, but what happens after all of this?
Anyway, what happens after all this is it does not go well. She's like, no, right? Doesn't she's like, no, I'm gonna take this up. I forgot. I think it's the dam breaks. The dam breaks. They have to save
Holy
the
fuck,
town.
the dam broke. I
Yeah,
forgot.
they get trapped in the blue flame thing.
Room.
Again, the blue flame, I guess, obviously significant of their culture. Very, very important. I'm not sure why. I'm like, to me, I'm like, you can't. I guess you can't get more of it. I guess it's very specific.
They'd have
just
to
for
go
that.
back to the homeland to get
Yeah.
more. And that's not
That'd be
really
tough.
feasible.
So she wants to. I guess I don't know. I don't know how far the homeland is. Again, to me, I'm like they're all doing great over there. You can't have
They'd
them skip
probably
you some of
love
the
to
blue
see
flame.
you after 25
Yeah,
years.
you know what I mean. It's like your dad didn't bow, but is he still alive? I don't know what's going on with Nona and Oma and Opa over there. But anyway, Ember's like, this is very important to my dad. The shop is very important. I have to go save this. Wade's like, I'm coming with you. She's like, it's a bad idea. They get trapped in this thing, and this moment's shockingly scary to the point where like, wow, one of them has to die.
It is.
I didn't
Again,
see
this is
coming
another
this
one of those
way.
moments where I was like, "What the fuck are they gonna do to get around this?"
What?
And it's the worst answer. But like, there was a moment I'm like, "What are we doing here?"
Yeah, it was weird. Of course, the townspeople after the waters receded,
Yes.
bail her out. She's there crying. She's like, "Oh my God, Wade's dead. He sacrificed himself for me." I was like, "This movie got fucking intense
I
real
guess
fast."
the other thing that I don't really, I guess it's just that they were in an enclosed space and that's why he evaporated.
Yeah, because she's hot.
But I guess.
She produced heat, and that's why this is very fucked up because she technically killed him.
Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking that, like, they have all this water that's like gonna come through the wall and like, but that doesn't really.
Well, they got
that's-
trapped.
Yeah.
They got trapped there. They can't get out the chute. The whole thing's, and
Yeah.
we're just baking her. Now, technically, if you want to
Couldn't
get,
he?
I mean,
but here's the
You
thing:
went
we
through
saw.
a doorknob. You went through a
he went
door
through the
keyhole.
cracks. That little tiny thing. Could he not get out into the water?
I mean, technically, if you want to get really scientific about this, depending on how long she was in that room and how airtight it was, because if he can't get out, air probably can't get in. She's gonna die too because she needs air to burn, right?
Yeah.
And the blue flame certainly ain't gonna fucking work. They're gonna. It's basically. I legit for a second I was like, "Is this gonna be Romeo and Juliet?
They're both there.
Are we watching this Romeo and Juliet story?"
Can you imagine?
I would have loved it. I'd like.
They
I would have
just
turned to that little.
embrace and as they kill each other. Like,
I would have turned to that little kid and be like, "Hope you had a good shit."
Children crying.
oh my god! Wow.
Oh man, but it's not. It's not. He's there.
They play the
and
crying
she
game.
makes
They
him
hear-
cry, and he goes in, and his
I'm like,
eyeballs
fuck,
come
this
back.
guy's not dead. God damn it.
Yeah, it's
This
very,
guy
very
sucks,
weird.
dude.
So he gets back to life. Months later, they're a couple now, and they're about to leave Element City. So Ember can study glass, making far away before she boards the ship. Again, a lot of criticisms of this movie, but I have to say this part hit.
Yeah.
When she bows to her dad bows to her. I was like,
Yeah.
It
All
hits
right.
hard, and as it was happening, I had a moment where I was like, "End here, end here, end here," and then credits hit. I was like, "Yes,
Yeah.
you stuck the landing there."
And then I was like-
"That was good."
And then I Googled it. I was like, please don't give us another scene with Claude. We don't need a post-credit sequence with Claude.
Making some joke or something. Yeah,
Boink. I was like, oh god. Anytime any character, and it killed me when Groot did it too. I was like, don't pick shit off your body and kill people. I don't need that. Okay, I watch a lot of Dr. Pimple Popper and that one guy with the beautiful face who I still don't know because I only follow 2 people on TikTok and he's one of them.
No idea. Oh, I do know
I
who
know
you're
exactly who you're talking about. Wait, who's the other person?
I think it's Andy.
Yeah, that's me.
I think I literally spent my entire day watching Andy playing Tears of the Kingdom and then watching weird things get removed from people's inner
No,
ear.
I really hate that.
Yeah.
In 7th grade,
that
my
make you
friend
feel, Andy?
Vincent Wong one day, or not one day, every day would across the room in my science class call my name and point to his armpit because he was like, "This is gonna be the day. This is gonna be the day I get some armpit hair," and I'll never forget the day one sprouted.
Wow.
A single armpit
The
hair?
most proud I've ever seen a human being was that day. God bless you, Vincent.
That's cool.
God bless you.
Everyone, shout out to Vincent.
Yeah, shout out to that arm hair. He still to this day probably only has one. But little facts for you here. The language of the fire elements was done by David J. Peterson, who constructed languages for Game of Thrones and Dune.
Oh,
The
that's cool.
language was called Fire-ish. And they
Oh,
yeah.
that was kind of
Oh,
sick.
that's
I
cool.
liked that
I
a
was
lot.
wondering what that was.
Yeah, and then this is like a Easter egg thing, or not Easter egg, just like a fun little idea of the early cut of the end. At one point, the end of the film was going to depict Wade and Ember having a baby made of steam, a concept that they fought for, but ultimately did not include in early cuts of the film. This was to
Young.
ensure a more solid
elements
ending
fucking.
for the two leads, and so that audiences would have something to look forward to in a potential future installment. So get hyped, everybody.
Perfect. Yeah, if
Do
this
we
movie does
know-
great, we're gonna get.
Do we have
Element
like
two.
any sense of like Easter eggs from other Pixar stuff in this?
No, no.
I have an Easter egg. Fun one.
Uh-oh.
I did not know who this lead actress was. Her name is Leah Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, she looks very familiar. Why does she look familiar? Because she is in a movie called The Half of It,
Oh,
which I
it's
just queued up on my Netflix queue. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this one where she like falls in love with a girl?
She falls in love with the girl, but she has to write love letters to the
the
girl for the boy.
Yeah.
Who is in love with the girl too.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how that is. I'm watching it this
I
weekend,
think
along
I've
with the tall
watched it.
girl and the tall girl too.
You don't have to watch those.
Really?
No.
I'll be the judge of that.
Oh, please, Nick, please tell me if I need to watch The Tall Girl.
You-
'Cause
I
we're done
wanted
with
you
the
to-
Kissing Booth trilogy, so
I just want you to know it's not called The Tall Girl. It's just Tall Girl.
Oh, tall girl. Tall girl 1 and tall girl 2, Andy. Let's do it. What are you doing this weekend? You want to come over?
and hit me with the RaGu BaGu, please.
RaGu BaGu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here on the Pixar in Review. Tim, do you have the RaGu BaGu
Oh,
list in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic.
I
Take us
do.
through it.
Dang. Okay. Well, there's a lot here, everybody. Lotsa at number 1.
I feel like I need a visual representation of this.
Let's all get behind Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you just slap?
I'm looking at it right here. I'll show. I'll visualize it with you.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
run back in time so you can slack it to everyone?
I just.
I don't have that sound effect.
People
cute.
love that
People
bit.
loved it, by the
They
way. They
love
they
that
loved
bit.
it.
Wait,
Nick,
did
yeah.
you do that?
I slapped you, Joe.
yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So here's what we're gonna do here, real quick. I don't, you know what? Fuck it, I'll read them all. Lotsa from Toy Story 3, the Prospecta / Al from Toy Story 2, Noosewater and Randall from Monsters Inc., Hopper from Ants. I hate you, Nick. Ernesto de la Cruz, Evelyn and the Screenslaver from Incredibles 2,
Did we put Hopper from Ants on?
because it's Bug's Life.
Oh, but he put
Yeah.
Ants. Got it.
Urcoil Visconti from Luca, Syndrome from Incredibles, Munson the Dogs from Up, Ego and Skinner from Ratatouille, Darla and the Barracuda, and Marlin and everything else from Finding Nemo. Grandma from Turning Red, Woody and Sid in Toy Story 1, Gabby in Toy Story 4, Zurg from Lightyear, Hardscrabble and the Roars from Monsters University, Otto from Wall-E, Mordo. Give it to me, Andy.
Mordu.
And the Witch from Brave, the Muddy Waters, and the Pterodactyls from Good Dinosaur. Yeah, that's what that is. Chick and Hubris from Cars, Jackson Storm and Sterling. Jesus Christ.
Cars 3.
Oh, yeah, there we go. That's a good call. Axelrod and the Lemons from Cars 2, Joy and San Francisco in Inside Out, The Fear of Getting Lost in a Department Store from Finding Dory. The Fuzz
We
and-
really gave up on this franchise.
the Fuzz and the Curse and the Gelatinous Cube from Onward, and manhole covers in Soul. Where are we gonna put
Bureaucracy?
Bureaucracy?
Well, actually,
it's
I mean,
real low on the list.
Is it bureaucracy or is it like, would it be like something like xenophobia? Like, because that really is sort of the main driving conflict in this.
Well,
movie.
shit, if we don't put xenophobia at the top of this list, then we're
That's fair. You know, every time I think that, Andy, I think xenophobia is xenomorphs, aliens. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Scary. That's the personification of racism.
Exactly.
Yeah, so xenophobia above Lotsa from Toy Story 3. I think Andy's right. I think we gotta put
But
xenophobia.
I mean, it's the yeah, it's got to be number one.
Does the motion clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Xenophobia is our new number 1 above Lotsa.
How about that?
Gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Bureaucracy though would have been
we
real
go.
low.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
Peacemaker.
Man, all right, now it's time to rank the Pixar movies. Currently, number 1, we have Coco. Number 2, Up. Number 3, Monsters, Inc.
That's a good list.
Number
right there.
4, Finding Nemo. Number 5, The Incredibles 2. Number 6, The Incredibles. Number 7, Wall-E. Number 8, Toy Story 3. 9, Inside Out. 10, Toy Story 2. 11, Toy Story 4. 12, Soul. 13, Toy Story. 14, Luca. 15, Ratatouille. 16, Finding Dory. 17, Onward. 18, Turning Red. 19, Monsters University. 20, Cars. 21, A Bug's Life. 22, Lightyear. 23, Cars 3. 24, The Good Dinosaur. 25, Brave. And 26, Cars 2.
I like how this list is like a Willy Wonka door where it starts big and gets smaller as it goes all over the end.
Legitimately, though, I still think this is the best list that we have.
This is a good list.
Like, and just like, there's more good movies on this list than
Bad.
any other in review we've done, and I think that the level of god tier movies on this list is super high.
Yeah.
I feel like where this gets like, this ain't good.
Well, I think our
is-
rankings are terrible.
Well, the rankings are inconsistent because
Yeah.
we all have different
Wall-E's
opinions.
way
because
too high.
Pixar movies connect with people differently.
Go to
great.
hell, Jeff.
And I think that's cool. That's something that makes them special. But
I want to start the bidding
for
for
it.
this one. I think this goes at number 22,
Mm.
above Lightyear. I don't think in good conscience I can put it above A Bug's Life.
I kind of like that, Joe. I agree.
I'm going a little lower than that.
Okay.
I would say number 24. I like Cars 3 a lot. I think that Elemental to me would be the bottom of the good Pixar movies,
Yeah.
but it's not Good Dinosaur, Brave, or Cars 2.
It's definitely better than Brave.
This
See,
is
you
my
wanna put it at
least
25.
favorite.
Wow. And it's
Worse
putting it
than
27?
Cars 2?
Yeah,
Cars 2 is so bad.
I know. Yeah,
Damn, Andy.
I'd put this at the very, very bottom.
I feel like this might be recency bias.
This is
just
one of
had a
those where, like,
bad
if
time with it,
Pixar
man.
hears this, they're going to ban you from all future Pixar movies. They're going to have your picture up at every major.
Here's the thing, Disney. I hope you're watching this.
Yeah.
Because I'm with Kevin. You fucked Pixar.
Holy shit.
Wow. Wow.
That's
I
very
will say-
threatening.
I never want to watch this movie again.
Yeah.
And that's a rare.
That's kind of how I feel for,
Everything below
Yeah.
A Bug's Life. yeah.
yeah. I mean, because I think I've only seen everything below A Bug's Life once.
So
Yeah.
that puts us at number 22,
There you go.
in between A Bug's Life and Lightyear.
Damn.
Sorry,
It's like a
Chris
Western
Evans.
at first.
It's just so off, man. It's so fucking hard, man.
Let us know in the comments below what you thought of Elemental. And yeah, we'll be back for Pixar in review. I don't even know what their next
got
movie is. A Toy Story 5's coming, everybody. Get hyped. But
Yeah, I don't.
I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to. When I went, this was like the upcoming one that like
Yeah.
had all the department art for it.
All right, there's a movie called Elio coming up.
Elio.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Elio is
Inside Out
mistakenly
2.
identified as Earth's ambassador to the rest of the universe
That
and
sounds
completely
awesome.
unprepared for that kind of pressure. Elio must form new bonds with eccentric alien life forms, survive a series of formidable trials, and somehow discover who he is truly meant to be.
Is it?
Hope this is
is
the
it,
sequel to Wall-E.
Is it like the letters Elio?
Elio.
The teaser trailer.
Oh, a
Earth-
teaser trailer came out last week. That's interesting. Well, anyways, let us know if you're excited for Elio. Until next time, I love you all. Do some Pixar stuff.